If you were a FNAF fan game enthusiast during 2016 or 2017, you've most likely heard the name Unstoppable Trollgaming. He has created 4 FNAF fan game series and 5 standalone fan games. This totals at 25 games. To make things even crazier, almost all these games were released in the span of just 2 years. And yes, I am going to be talking about every single one of these games. Before I start talking about them though, I would like to give a few disclaimers. First off, Unstoppable Trollgaming now goes by Psycho Clown, so that's how I'm going to be addressing him throughout this video. Also, almost all of his games had their game drop pages deleted, so it was hard to find information on the games outside what is said inside of the games. I'm going to talk about the games in order of their supposed release date, but since many of their release dates haven't actually been confirmed, I could get the order slightly wrong. Now I'm going to take you back to December of 2015. It was the beginning of a new era for FNAF fan games. FNAF fan games were starting to look really good, with many said to be on the same level of quality as one of the official FNAF games. However though, some people were only just getting into making FNAF fan games, and one of those people was Psycho Clown. In December 2015, Psycho Clown released his first FNAF fan game, The Fright After Fredbear's Diner, although on the menu it says The Fright After Fredbear's Family Diner. When you start night 1, it shows you a really small text that informs you that you play as a child who has been forced by his bullies to spend 5 nights at what I'm assuming is an abandoned pizzeria. And if the kid survives 5 nights, the bullies will help him find sweet love. Yes, the reason why you're surviving 5 nights in an abandoned pizzeria is because you want a girlfriend. The Fright After Fredbear's Diner is very obscure, but many who have played it consider it to be one of the worst FNAF fan games of all time. But is it really that bad? Yes, oh god yes, it is that bad. For starters, the text that you get at the start stays on screen for 50 seconds, and you can't skip it, and then after that, you have to wait for a 20-second loading screen. And yes, you have to sit through this every single time you start night 1, so it takes 70 seconds just to try again after you die. Sonic 06 doesn't take this long to load. Okay, so what about the gameplay? The game takes place in a FNAF 1 location. You can move to the hallway on your left and right, similar to FNAF 4. The controls are buggy as fuck. You usually have to click on the halls multiple times. Sometimes it will send you to the wrong hall and sometimes you'll end up back in the office. The game explains what you're supposed to do through tips. So what you're supposed to do is, if you hear breathing, you're supposed to move to the right. And if you hear anything on the left, you're also supposed to go to the right. So shouldn't you just be able to stay at the right the whole time? Well, I tried that and I died. Is it because you die if you stay on the right for too long? Nope, it's because this game is broken beyond belief. No matter what you do, you'll just die for no reason at some point within the first minute. And it's not just me, I have never heard of anyone actually being able to make it past the first night. So yeah, this game is actually impossible. You spend more time waiting for the game to load than you actually spend playing it. The only animatronics active on night 1, at least from what I saw, is Bonnie and Chica. Bonnie comes from the left and Chica comes from the right. You can see them when they're in the hallways, but I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. Okay, let's talk about other aspects of the game. As you can probably tell based on the quality of the game, none of the images or animatronic models are original. The FNAF 1 map and animatronic models were made by Gabo.co. None of the sounds are original either, they were ripped from FNAF 4 and The Return to Freddy's 5.
Hello?
One praise I will give the game though is even if its assets aren't original, it does create a scary ambience. Unfortunately though, since the game is unplayable, it's hard to find it scary. Also, the game over screen. This ridiculous game over screen goes on for 20 seconds as well. Now, the first night is unbeatable, but there's 5 nights in the game, so I decompiled the game's files and I found out some information on the later nights. I found the jump scare frames for Springtrap, Foxy, Phantom Freddy, Phantom Chica, and Freddy, so they're supposed to appear in the game at some point. I also found an image of Phantom Balloon Boy in the office. He doesn't have a jump scare and there's no other images of him, so I have no idea what he does. Also I found one image each of Nightmare Cupcake, Nightmare Bonnie and Nightmare Foxy. Keep in mind, some of these characters might have been scrapped, which could explain why there's not many images of them. You might have noticed that the game doesn't tell you what the time is, which is yet another glitch with the game. I was able to find a 6 AM screen as well as what I'm assuming is a sound that plays when you beat a night. There's also more low quality text that appears either when loading a night or as a tip. One of them says how to deal with Foxy. When you hear Foxy running, you're supposed to go to the right. Also 10 out of 10 grammar. Another one says, stay still, your mind is going crazy, carsy, and if you move, they go fast and start playing with you. I'm guessing they're telling you how to deal with the phantoms. Another one tells you there's an animatronic who makes vent sounds, and when you hear them, you have to go to the left. I'm assuming that would either be Springtrap or Freddy. There's a few texts that I don't understand. One says, things are getting real now. Another says, don't break your mind in any part of it, which is probably just a lame reference to Break My Mind by DA Games. And another one just says, can you beat this? I've also found what I'm assuming is the ending screen you get when you beat Night 5. As you can tell, the image is reused fan art, which was also made by Gabo.co. The last thing I want to talk about with this game is that when Ayutum played it, he played a challenge mode. What's strange about this is that this version of the game doesn't have a new game or load game option. Also, I didn't see anything about a challenge mode in the game's files. Ayutum's video actually shows a Phantom Freddy and Springtrap jump scare. It shows that the Phantoms don't actually kill you, but I don't know what they do that hinders you. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, if Ayutum's unlocked challenge mode, doesn't that mean Night 1 is beatable? Well, no. Ayutum might have just tampered with the save file and unlocked challenge mode without actually beating any of the other nights. Although it is possible that he could have. The game was probably more stable back when it was first released, so maybe it was actually beatable but no one actually filmed themselves beating it. Usually at this point I'll give my final thoughts on the game I'm talking about, but this time I can't really do that. The game is so poorly programmed that I can't even play it properly. Now, obviously the reason why the game is like this is because Psycho Clown was very inexperienced at the time. Also, it is believed that the game was made in just a few days, so he definitely didn't spend much time on it. Now, there is one text that I found in the files that I didn't read out earlier. It says, it's not over yet, you lost your friends, now I'll put them back together, and they are no more knots than you think. You made me suffer, so if you did, or didn't, I'm not sure what that says, got scare I sure my other new friends will play with you next time. This text was teasing a sequel. That's right, we got a Fright After Fredbear's Diner 2. The game was released in February of 2016. When you open the game, it shows you a cutscene which goes on for 2 minutes, when it could have just been 15 seconds. Thankfully, you can skip the cutscene. In the cutscene, some unknown character is talking to you. It says, I have put on you in a lucid dream. I will find your love, so yes, this game is still about getting a girlfriend. So you want to know, but not yet. The legendary beast is not dead yet, and I need your help. He will stop at nothing until you find him sweet love to put back the pieces for him. What is with this game series and sweet love? Also, the legendary beast is this thing. Yeah, it's a fucking animatronic. Who is he going after, Toy Chica? He is suffering from a lucid dream and very angry and sad. It's a fucking animatronic. Interestingly, before the Fright After Fredbear's Diner 1, Psycho Clown was actually working on a FNAF fan game called A Night with the Legendary Beast. Well, it's supposed to say Legendary Beast, however this game was cancelled and there's nothing known about it. I will put his love together. It's 20 years now from this lucid dream. Now it's going to find them, so save them. After that, you get the title screen. For some reason, the title screen music is a Nightcall remix of Our Little Horror Story by Aviators. It's not even an instrumental, it's the whole song. When you start Night 1, you get a news article to say that Freddy's Fazbear's Pizzare is opening for the first time since 1986. Then it loads Night 1. So, how does the Fright After Fredbear's Diner 2 compare to the Fright After Fredbear's Diner? It's the same fucking game! It's literally just a reskin of the first game. And it's just as bugged as the first game as well. In all seriousness, there are some changes besides a flashlight being removed. You're supposed to listen out for footsteps. There's 2 different sounding footsteps, and depending on which one you hear determines whether or not you're supposed to go to the left or right. Which one is which? Not got a clue. There's now a music box you have to keep winding up or else the puppet kills you. The only other animatronics I saw were Toy Bonnie and Toy Chica, and they act the same as their original counterparts in the first game. Also, there's this text on the bottom left which tells you to put your mouse pointer on the text to be safe. It does nothing though. The animatronic models are once again made by Gabo. As for the sounds, they're a bit different to the sounds used in the first game. Speaking of the sounds, another thing that's really weird about this game is that there's phone calls, but it's literally just the FNAF 3 phone calls.
Hello. For today's lesson, we will be continuing our training on proper suit handling techniques when using an animatronic as a suit.
Okay, so once again I decompiled the files. Spoilers, I decompiled the files for all of the games, and I found quite a lot of stuff. I found a Funtime Foxy and Toy Freddy jump scare. I also found a Phantom Chica jump scare. I'm not sure if she's actually in the game though, or if this is just a leftover asset from the first game. I also found some strange images too. There's upside down images of an eyeless Freddy, Bonnie, Chica and Foxy, and I found a really derpy image of withered Golden Freddy. Why does he have eyes? It just looks wrong. I also found text that tells you that if you hear Funtime Foxy, you have to put your mouse on the text. The Night 5 ending screen from FNAF 2 is also in the files, so I guess you play as Jeremy Fitzgerald and the game takes place in 1987. I also found out that there's 7 nights in this game. But the most revealing thing I found in the files is that there's actually mini-games. There's the crying child from FNAF 4, who I'm assuming is a protagonist. There's also the bullies from FNAF 4, which are obviously the bullies. And your sweet love is that girl who appears in the Night 3 minigame in FNAF 4. It's unknown how many minigames there are, how you access them, or what happens in them. I did find a sprite that shows the kid smiling whilst covered in blood, as well as text that reads, "I hate everyone, I wish they never bully me, I wish I get love and she would save me." I suppose the kid is having a mental breakdown and harming himself. And lastly, I found text where the legendary beast is talking to you. "Let him go, I'm the beast, and if we can't get love and respect, you shouldn't, so I'm going to kill you when I come back to life." I'm assuming he's talking to the main character. Oh wait, you play as a child and he's demanding love from you.
Big fucking strokey nonce!
Overall, I don't really have much to say about this game, since it's just a reskin of the first game. But I would say it's better than the first game, because you can actually skip the cutscenes this time. Well done, you've made a great achievement in coding. One last thing. There's text I found in the files, and it's just long, incoherent, emo cringe with no punctuation, so I'm not going to read all of it. But the last thing it says is, "The time will come that will be the final chapter to the story." You know what this means? Yep, the Fright after Fredbear's Diner 3. The game was released about a week after the second game was released. The game opens with a really dramatic cutscene. You're in hell, a nightmare has got hold of you and your sweet love, whilst in the background it plays Never Again by Disturbed. In the cutscene, Nightmare is taunting you. "Welcome my friend to hell. It's very fun to torture your dreams and your best friend is next to hell," whatever that's supposed to mean. "And you know is the god in your dreams. I'm the one who done all this. I'm the one who letten you in a lucid dream. I made them. But you are an fucked kid that suffers in bed, that has no girlfriend. I don't give a shit what you care. I'm Satan." Really, Satan? That's the best you've got? That's the kind of message some angry 12-year-old would send you on Xbox chat. You will go to hell, so welcome the baddest lucid dream you ever had and try to save Anna, Dan. So I guess the name of the main character is Dan and the girl you want is Anna. Now, let me just ask you something. How long do you think that cutscene goes on for? 3 minutes. Yes, seriously, 3 minutes. That's a new record for this series. Thank God you can skip it. And I haven't even gotten to the most ridiculous part about this game. When you start up the game, it says, "Based on a true life love story." No, I don't even know what to say to that. I can't. No, just no. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's actually talk about the game. There's two game modes, Sweet Dreams mode and Lucid Dream mode. Let's talk about Sweet Dreams mode first. It opens with a cutscene that says, "Welcome to your old days, at Fredbear's family diner, but now it just an wonder nightmare dream, or perhaps an lucid dream, Mybel. So you'll have sweet dreams here, so enjoy it here. You will enjoy the fun or you will pay of the pain I gotten through the years. So I'll see you there and have sweet dreams." I guess the grey Fredbear is the one talking to you and he's supposed to be a demon? So, how do you play Sweet Dreams mode? You have to look to your left, right and centre, and if you've seen animatronic, you have to look away from them whilst winding up the Nightmare Cupcake. And that's it, that's how you play the game. So after 2 broken games, do we finally have a functional Fright After Fredbear's Diner game? It's better than the first 2, but so is a Return to Freddy's 1, so that doesn't mean anything. It's insanely broken and I kept on dying because of bullshit. However though, this time I actually know why I kept on dying. The animatronics are way too aggressive and it makes it so that whenever you look away from an animatronic, you'll just end up looking at another one. The animatronics who attack from the hallways are Nightmare Fredbear, Nightmare and Fredbear. And yes, the animatronic models were once again taken from Gabo.co. This game is somewhat of a visual improvement over its predecessors, as Psycho Clown did make The Office, even if it looks terrible. Some of the animatronic models were also edited, like Fredbear is actually a recolor of Freddy but he's missing an ear and eye. So I mentioned that this night is broken as fuck, which it is. However though, it is actually beatable. So how do you beat Sweet Dreams mode? In order to beat a broken game, you have to break it even more. If you get jump scared whilst constantly moving towards the left and right, the jump scare will oftentimes not kill you. Now obviously since this is a bug, it won't always work, but if you keep trying, you will eventually beat the night. Something that's really funny is when I beat the night, it said it was 2:30 AM, but when you win, it says 6 AM. Can this game do anything right? And then after that, it just sends you straight to Lucid Dream mode. If you try to play Sweet Dreams mode again, it erases all your progress. At first I thought this was another bug, but after looking through the game's files, I didn't see a Sweet Dreams 2 or anything. Whilst Lucid Dream mode has 3 nights, and they're each called Lucid Dream 1 to 3. So maybe Sweet Dreams mode is supposed to be just 1 night. Oh wait, hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Lucid Dream mode starts with a near 2-minute long unskippable cutscene. In the cutscene it just shows you going through a hallway and then a vent. Towards the end of the cutscene a bunch of eyes appear. During the cutscene a voice is talking to you, but it's just David Near's Nightmare voice video in its full duration.
You can't run forever. You get tired. I don't. When you slow down, I'll catch you.
Now onto the gameplay. It's just Sweet Dreams mode, but it looks different. The animatronics are different, this time being Freddy, Bonnie and Chica who attack from the hallways. The legendary beast makes a return, this time he is an enemy. You have to wind him up just like the Nightmare Cupcake. As you can see, the legendary beast looks very different to how he looked in the second game. Here he is actually a fan-made Nightmare Springtrap model made by Gabo.co. The original beast model was a fan-made Golden Freddy variant made by Kuro1395. As for The Office, it's still poorly made, but I would say it's a bit better than the Sweet Dream setting. It just looks more creepy and feels more lonely, and it has broken animatronic parts scattered around. Speaking of animatronic parts, Freddy, Bonnie and Chica have had parts of them removed. One thing that's really annoying about Lucid Dream mode is when you die, it sends you back to the main menu and you have to sit through that long cutscene again. Wait a second, why does Sweet Dreams mode have a menu when it's just 1 night? And Lucid Dream mode doesn't have a menu and there's 3 nights. Is this game incapable of having any kind of logic whatsoever? So, just like Sweet Dreams, to beat the night, you have to exploit it. This time though, it's even more exploitable as you can sometimes glitch the game without even doing anything. Also, I reached 6 AM by getting to 4:30. Now on to Lucid Dream 2, it's unbeatable. It introduces 3 new animatronics, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica and Plush Trap. As you can see, Toy Bonnie and Toy Chica are more broken. They both attack from the hallways. As for Plush Trap, you have to wind him up, so you now have 2 enemies to wind up. The reason why this isn't beatable is because you're not going to survive 6 jump scares. And to make matters worse, the AI is much more aggressive this time. Also, you can't save the game, so this game was intended on being beaten in one sitting, which I guess works because you'll probably only spend 15 minutes playing it. Like I said earlier, there are 3 nights in Lucid Dream mode. In the files, I found a lot of animatronics that I never encountered, those being Foxy, Nightmare Freddy, Nightmare Bonnie, Nightmare Chica, Nightmare Foxy, Jack-O-Bonnie, Jack-O-Chica, Jack-O-Freddy, and Jack-O-Foxy. At least some of these characters will appear on Lucid Dream 3, and I'm guessing you'll just have to look away from them. Something crazy that I found in the files was text that says free roam mode, but I found no images of what could be a free roam mode, so I'm guessing this was probably scrapped. Something I found out that confuses the shit out of me is that there are several assets from the second game in the files. As far as my knowledge goes, none of this was actually used in the game, so was some of the code from the second game reused? If so, that's really odd since it's a very different game. I also found glitched Fredbear from FNAF World. I also found what I think is an unused line from the opening. It says, "You liked in middle school in art class and you are an fool, you shy, scared, but I'm here to make it bad. I done everything to you since 2013 after the grand reopening of Freddy's in 2006. I also found a bunch of texts that appear in a cutscene that I think you get when you beat Lucid Dream 3. I've tried to stitch together how the cutscene plays out. Obviously this could be completely wrong, but this is what I got out of it. I'm sorry, it's time for me to go. Anna, please don't go. I'm scared here, you known that and long time ago. No, please. It's time to stop the pain. I just want to say this for my last moment here. Thank you for saving me from this madness. You've made history, so it's time for me to go, and this is the final chapter of the story. Okay, I guess this is it. Bye. So after you save Anna, she leaves hell, but Dan is stuck there still. Dan must have died in the second game in order for him to be in hell. So maybe Anna didn't die and she was just sent to hell for some reason? Or could it be that Dan sinned? Maybe Dan killed himself, since the minigame in the second game shows him harming himself. So therefore he ended up in hell and Anna was brought there to further punish him. But you know, just theory. Like I said before, this game is definitely better than the first two. There's more to it and you can actually beat 2 nights whilst you can't even beat night 1 in either of the first 2 games. But it is still a broken mess. I mean, the only reason you can even make a bit of progress is because of a bug. So yeah, these games are all just awful. Okay, let's take a break from the Fright after Fredbear's Diner and talk about a different FNAF fan game that PsychoClown made in February of 2016. Five Nights at Frogger's Pizzare. Okay, I'll stop taking the piss. I know it's supposed to say pizzeria, but the spelling was just butchered. Five Nights at Frogger's Pizzeria is perhaps PsychoClown's least known game. Remember how I said that most of PsychoClown's games got taken off GameJolt? Well, most of them were re-uploaded. However though, Five Nights at Frogger's Pizzeria is still lost. There only seems to be one video of the game on YouTube, and it was by Samuel Gaming. In the video, he only played up to night 3. Now, I'm not judging a game that I've not played, so I'm just going to tell you what happens in the game based off the video. One interesting thing about this game is that it has zoom transitions, which is unusual for a FNAF fan game. You get a cutscene at the start of night 1 that tells you that you've lost a bet and have to spend 5 nights at a pizzeria that will be opening soon, or else people will think you're a duck. As for the animatronics, I don't know the names of any of them, but I know one of them's Frogger. One of the animatronics is just a green toy Bonnie, who I'm guessing is Frogger since they're in the thumbnail. Another one is Mangle in full body form but with Balloon Boy's head. And there's another green toy Bonnie, but this time they're missing their ears and have green eyes. So maybe this is Frogger, but they're not in the menu or thumbnail. I don't know. So I think how this game works is you've got a monitor which has a map of the pizzeria. And there's this mechanism called the clock audio device. We have these clock icons on the monitor that you have to click if someone's in your office. If they're on the left side of the office, then you have to click on the left side of the monitor, and same if it's on your right. There's also multiple music box-like mechanics in your office that you have to keep winding up. This is an original game, and judging by the gameplay footage, it doesn't look anywhere near as bugged as the first 3 Fright games. The nights go on from 11:50 PM until 7 AM. I can't see the time in-game, but it could be because it was blocked by the face cam. The nights only seem to go on for 2 minutes, so that's about as long as the nights in the third Fright game. which does make me question if you actually reach 7 AM or if it ends early. This also makes me think, how long do the nights go on for in the Fright 1 and 2? The last thing I want to talk about is the minigames. After beating Night 1 and 2, you get a minigame. In these minigames, you play as a yellow Gron from the Return to Freddy's. In the Night 1 minigame, you walk towards a stage which has a bloody rabbit animatronic next to who I'm guessing is one of the green Toy Bonnie animatronics. You walk through the stage, and then text pops up that says you've made a mistake. In the Night 2 minigame, the yellow Gron is now covered in blood, and there's poorly drawn animatronics that actually look kinda creepy. You walk towards a stage again, and the animatronics you saw in the last minigame are now shadows. When you walk through this stage, it just zooms in and doesn't say anything. So that's all I can say about Five Nights at Frogger's. But it's not over yet, as in March of 2016, a second game was released. As you can probably tell by the footage I am showing you, yeah, this game is also lost media. And yet again, there might only be one video of the game, and it was once again uploaded by Samuel Gaming. On night 1 it tells you information on the story. One day at Frogger's Pizzeria, a kid snuck into the back room, climbed into a springlock suit and died in like 2 seconds. When the cops arrived, they found the dead kid, which had guts everywhere. They then threw away the spring suit. The dad of the victim then burnt the pizzeria to the ground. 10 years later, a place called Frogger's Warehouse opens, and you play as a night guard who will spend a week at the warehouse. It then gives you instructions on what you're supposed to do. Now, Samuel didn't actually beat Night 1 in this game. I'm not sure if it's because the game is poorly programmed or if he just didn't understand how you play the game. So I can't tell you much about this game. On the thumbnail you can see 3 animatronics. One of them is Phantom Freddy but with no eyes. Another is a green Phantom Freddy with withered Bonnie's head. I'm guessing this is withered Frogger. And in the background is a character who I can't identify. And on the banner there's Phantom Balloon Boy. With all this said, I can sort of tell you what happens in the game. For those who are familiar with Psycho Clown's games, I'm about to address the fattest elephant you'll ever find in a room. For Five Nights at Frogger's 2, Psycho Clown did something that would become a staple for the vast majority of his games. This was foreshadowed with the Fright After Fredbear's Diner 2. He decided to reskin another FNAF fan game. Five Nights at Frogger's 2 is a reskin of Fazbear's Return 3. For those who are unfamiliar with the Fazbear's Return series, there is so much to go over that I've literally made a near 2-hour long video on it. But to put it brief, it's a FNAF fan game series made by Scribby. It started off as a Return to Freddy's clone, but later became a big series with original animatronics. Now, since Fazbear's Return 3 is not lost, I can sort of tell you what happens in this game. In Fazbear's Return 3 there's 2 hallways, one on your left and one on your right. When an animatronic appears in a hall you have to stare at them until they leave. It's quite an exploitable game as you don't even need to look at the cameras. Between the nights there's these minigames which are just like the Return to Freddy's 4 minigames where you go around killing children. So that might have been in the game but with everything being recolored. After beating Night 5, 6 and 7 you get these FNAF 2S cutscenes where you're in an animatronic suit looking around. Also, something funny about Fazbear's Return 3 is that there's 3 endings, the bad ending, the good ending, and the best ending. But to unlock these endings, you just have to beat Night 5 to 7 without doing anything different. There doesn't seem to be any phone calls in Frogger's 2 while there is in Fazbear's Return 3. About a week after the release of Five Nights at Frogger's 2, a Five Nights at Frogger's 3 was made. And just like the other games, this is lost media. And yet again, there's only one video. I know, it's as if this trilogy was cursed. However, though this time the video was uploaded by ElMoyo69. The video shows Night 5, but it doesn't actually beat it. It is once again a reskin, and it's another reskin of Fazbear's Return 3. Come on man, you could have at least reskinned a different game, especially since this was literally the last game you reskinned. This is unoriginality at its finest. I just went through what happens in Fazbear's Return 3 and I'm not repeating myself. The location in the game is very similar to FNAF 4. The animatronics are recolored Nightmare Bonnie, Nightmare Fredbear and Nightmare Mangle. One thing that's interesting is the animatronics move while they're in the cameras. I don't know what else to say, so let's just move on to a game that isn't lost. But I'm not done talking about the Fright After Fredbear's Diner yet. Nope, because a few weeks later, the Fright After Fredbear's Diner 4 was released. The Fright After Fredbear's Diner 4 is a reskin of Fazbear's Return 5. Yes, another Fazbear's Return game. Well, at least it's still a different game. This reskin actually takes place at Fredbear's Family Diner and has Fredbear and Spring Bonnie instead of Golden Spring Joe and Golden Spring Toxic. Oh yeah, it just occurred to me. This series is called the Fright after Fredbear's Diner, and Fredbear isn't even in the first 2 games. Now, I do quite like Fazbear's Return 5, I think it's a pretty good game. But does this reskin fuck it up? Let's find out. When you start night 1, it just shows you a news article that says that a new restaurant is opening and they need a night guard, nothing interesting. Unlike the previous games, this game actually has cameras, and even if it's a reskin, the map is still original. It's still poorly put together, as you can clearly see that some of the images were just stitched together, and some of the camera images are out of place. And they literally just drew over the hallway in the office. Come on man, at least use a black square to cover it up. Although, the location doesn't look that bad. It's nothing remarkable and you can clearly tell that none of the assets are original, but it does look like a FNAF location and it does also look kind of creepy. The animatronic models were made by, you guessed it, Gabo.co. Fredbear and Spring Bonnie are just recolored Freddy and Bonnie. The puppet is also in the game and it's just been recolored yellow. There's also old Fredbear and old Chica. It would have made more sense if it was old Spring Bonnie, but whatever. Old Fredbear is a recolor of Withered Freddy and old Chica is just Withered Chica but a bit darker. Now I'm going to talk about the gameplay. Since it's a reskin, the gameplay is almost identical to Fazbear's Return 5. The map layout is different, so all the characters have different movement patterns. Fredbear and Spring Bonnie replace Golden Spring Joe and Golden Spring Toxic. When they appear in the office, he's supposed to wear the mask until they leave. However, you can't wear the mask for too long because of the spring locks. One difference from Fazbear's Return 5 is that they don't appear in the hall before they attack, so the right hall is completely useless. The puppet replaces Golden Spring Vasco. When she appears in the left hall, you have to shine your light at her. Old Fredbear and Old Chica replace Spring Joe 07 and Spring Toxic 07. You have to use a pulse jammer to send them back a cam. When you use a pulse jammer, you're vulnerable for about 15 seconds. When they're in cam 1 or cam 2, their next step is your office. An issue that I have with Fazbear's Return 5 is the mask controls are quite unresponsive. Here though, they're even worse. Sometimes when I try and take off the mask, it just won't let me. This becomes a big issue in later nights. Another problem I have is the animatronics jump scares can be very delayed. It can literally take up to 20 seconds for you to die after failing to stop them. Also in Fazbear's Return 5 there's a harmless Shadow Joe Easter egg, and in this game he is replaced with some strange animatronic who's made up of Phantom Balloon Boy's head, the cupcake, a fan, and Nightmare Foxy's tongue and nose. I'm not sure if this animatronic is original or not, but it does have an interesting design. Okay, let's talk about the story of this game. So there are phone calls from night 1 to 6, which is perfectly normal for a FNAF fan game. However though, the phone calls weren't actually made for this game. They were taken off some fan-made Fredbear's Family Diner phone call off YouTube. I know this because in the game's files you can tell it was a YouTube video converted to an MP3. So because the phone calls aren't original, it doesn't line up with the games at all. Like the phone guy never actually explains what to do, and the only reason I knew what to do is because I'd already played Fazbear's Return 5.
I just want to inform you the information that actually we take the Spring Bunny character out in the back room, and tomorrow, as Benedict says, it looks scary and
What is he on about? Spring Bunny was never in the back room. Also, the phone guy's acting is just terrible.
They are, hello, I just want to say, listen to you this night too. Oh, I just want to talk to you a little bit about, that you told,
So you're a fucking mumbling, stuttering little fuck, you know that?
Now, I wasn't actually able to find the original video, and the uploader wasn't credited anywhere. So it's possible that the video might be lost, and this might be the only way of listening to it. I guess stealing someone's work can sometimes help preserve it. Oh yeah, speaking of credits, time to get to the second fattest elephant in the room. Neither Scribby or Fazbear's Return was credited, so yeah. This was made with the intention on passing the reskin off as an original game. We'll talk more about this later on in the video. I don't know if I should take the phone calls seriously since they're not even from the game. The only noteworthy thing that's said anyway is on the night 6 phone call he tells you that a child was murdered.
Hello, yeah, I just want to tell you that there was a child murdered out of the restaurant earlier today, so the restaurant will close here tomorrow.
Also, there's a night 7 and 8, so unless they're not canon, this phone call doesn't make any sense. There isn't any phone calls on night 7 or night 8. And now we get to the cringiest part of the game. The minigames. They are so obviously stolen that it's hard to take them seriously. Fazbear's Return 5 has 3D mini-games between the nights where you go around giving children gifts. Here it's the same, except you play as Fredbear instead of Golden Spring Joe and you're supposed to give some shadow kid a gift. I say supposed to because you can't actually give it to them because a collision is bugged. Luckily, if you exit the game, it will save your progress. The Night 5 minigame is actually beatable because it has you following Freddy and you go into a room and find that some guy has killed Mangle. In Fazbear's Return 5, it's a dead child, but I have no idea what's supposed to be going on here. Then you get a tacky as fuck reskin of the Zack cutscene. It's literally the same but with slightly different sprites. The text is the exact same. The storyline is also the exact same. I guess I should explain what happens anyway. So in Fazbear's Return, the main antagonist is Zack, who is a very complex character, but again, there's a video that covers his character at great length. But basically, he was a World War II veteran whose friend was killed in battle and he almost died too. Then after that, he went on a killing spree and suffers from depression. This time it's a purple guy who goes through the exact same thing. Also, his friend who dies is green and I just couldn't help but think of Gron and Vincent. Also, I love how one part of a cutscene doesn't even fully load the text. And the secret death minigames were also reskinned, but this time they actually did change the text at the end. They're still mostly the same though, like one of them says make my lucid dream go away instead of make my nightmares go away. That is just awful. Only one of them actually fits the lore in the series, and even then I still don't really understand it. It says, "Dear child, I'll put him back together and I will name him the legendary beast." Who is him? In the minigame you play as Fredbear and go up to a kid. So what, is it referring to the kid's friend who died? Is a legendary beast possessed by a child? Oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. Oh, by the way, the legendary beast is actually in the game. He appears in the game over screen, but is in the FNAF 4 hallway. Dude, the littlest things in this game series are the ones that confuse the absolute shit out of me. Like I said before, there's a night 7 and 8, but nothing interesting happens on either of these nights other than the fact that night 8 is a custom night. In Fazbear's Return 5, there is a game mode called Nightmare Mode, which wasn't in the game for some reason. The last thing I want to mention is that the Fright After Fredbear's Diner 4 shares the same save file as Fazbear's Return 5. So if you've made progress in Fazbear's Return 5, it will carry on over to the Fright After Fredbear's Diner 4 if you decide to play it. So I really don't know what to say for my final thoughts. I mean, all the stuff I like about it is only because it's a reskin of Fazbear's Return 5. It's just Fazbear's Return 5, but a lot worse. It's more buggy, it's less visually appealing, and lacks an interesting narrative. There is no reason to unironically play this over Fazbear's Return 5. Did you think that I was done talking about the Fright After Fredbear's Diner series? Well, you were wrong, if so. In April of 2016, the Fright After Fredbear's Diner 5 was released. This is yet another reskin of a Fazbear's Return game. This time it was Fazbear's Return 4. It opens with a news article saying that a new horror attraction is opening called Fredbear's Fright. It will be based off the abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza restaurants and will have props that were used from the locations. Sound familiar? The location reminds me heavily of a creepy maze, it's just long empty hallways. It looks scary, I can't deny that, but it does look boring. Now, Fazbear's Return 4 actually only has one enemy, that being Nightmare Joe. Instead of Nightmare Joe, it's a legendary beast, who for some reason has a completely different design now. He is now a recolor of Nightmare Freddy made to look like Nightmare Fredbear. This game series has no continuity whatsoever. While there is only one animatronic, there are quite a few mechanisms. In front of you is a hallway. You need to go to the hallway every once in a while and listen out for robotic sounds. If you hear robotic sounds, you have to use a signal jammer. When you use a signal jammer, you have to wait about 10 seconds before using it again. If you don't hear it, you have to shine the light. Your flashlight does have battery, but you'll probably never run out. You have two vents in the cameras, one on your left and one on your right. Each vent has two cameras. For the left vent it's cam 3 and 9, and for the right vent it's cam 4 and 10. Also, I have absolutely no idea what this is supposed to be, but it's definitely not a vent. If you see the legendary beast in any of these cameras, you have to see all the vents. When he's in cam 3 or 4, his next step is the office. Also, the legendary beast's movement pattern is completely randomized, so he can go to your hallway at any second regardless of what camera he's in. Also, the legendary beast can sometimes talk to you.
Want to know a secret? There are many times when all I can think about is murdering someone.
Oh yeah, the dialogue in this game is just pure cringe.
So, these props actually haunts my mind. I know you can. It breaks my mind every time I see them.
Now I think Fazbear's Return 4 is a fun and intense game, but it suffers from being way too long. There's 8 nights in the game, and it's pretty much the same thing every night. Another thing about this series that baffles me is in this game, there's quite a lot of animatronics, such as Jack-O-Bonnie, Nightmarion, Nightmare Balloon Boy, and Shadow-Freddy. None of them actually move, they're all just there for decoration. If you didn't know that this game was a reskin of Fazbear's Return 4, you'd probably think that they're enemies. Also, these animatronics are in the thumbnail. Talk about misleading. Also, Nightmare Chica can appear in your office, but she's just a harmless Easter egg. Other harmless Easter eggs are Ghost Freddy, who is just Freddy with some parts removed, and Ghost Endo. I'm not sure what's ghostly about either of them. Both of them replace Golden Spring Joe and Golden Spring Toxic in Fazbear's Return 4. Oh yeah, I bet you'll never guess who made the animatronic models. Speaking of animatronics, I'd like to correct a mistake that I made in my Fazbear's Return video. I mentioned that there was unused Plush Joe and Plush Toxic animatronics. Well, it turns out they were never actually unused. They appear in a rare Fun with Plush Trap-like minigame that you can sometimes get when you die. They're the exact same as the Fun with Plush Trap minigames, but you don't get anything from beating them. In the Fright 5, they replaced Plush Joe and Plush Toxic with Plush Trap. I wasn't able to find any footage though. Now let's talk about the story. Oh god. This time the phone calls actually are original, and the phone guy is very open about the fact that you might get killed on the job.
How to survive? Yep. Survive. Like this job is with death. Actually, it's a death place to work at. But not everyone dies, yo. I never signed up here and all, but we won't die. Don't worry about it. I just want to stay out here till like legendary beast kills you. I thought about using the kill board, but he will do that.
Quite a few events from FNAF are canon to the Fright series, such as the Bite of 83 and the murder of the 5 children.
People there died since the Bite of 83. Like, not people, like kids that died. Like the 5 children that died and stuff.
So this game takes place in a distant future of 2057, same year Fazbear's Return 4 takes place. The phone guy mentions that the older locations were from the 1980s and 90s.
We built this place for like the mystery of the previous pizzeria that exists around the 1980s and 90s.
So this game takes place about 70 years after the Fright 4. Also, it is mentioned that the Freddy animatronic is from 1979. On the night 4 phone call, the phone guy tells you that multiple murders occurred at Fredbear's Fright.
We got more people died. More people died. Like this morning.
It is later revealed that the legendary beast is the one that's killing people. According to the phone guy, the legendary beast said, "Dan, I am coming for you." So Dan is still alive during the events of the Fright 5, but in the Fright 3 he's in hell, meaning that he's dead. So that means the Fright 3 takes place after the Fright 4 and 5. The Fright 2 takes place in 1987, even though it has minigames where you play as Dan, who shouldn't exist yet. But we could say that those minigames take place in a different timeline to the main nights. As for the Fright 1, probably before the minigame timeline of 2. I think it's possible that all of the Dan stuff takes place in the same year, 2057. So does this timeline actually make sense? No, because Dan and Anna are both seen in the Fright 4 minigames, which take place in the 80s. Also, Freddy isn't damaged at all in the Fright 1. But aside from that, the timeline mostly makes sense. In the night 4 phone call, the phone guy fucking dies in what is probably the most drawn out phone guy death I've ever seen in any FNAF fan game. Seriously, it goes on for 2 minutes. It's just the phone guy being scared while a music box plays, and when he finally does die, it's just hilarious.
I know it. What are we doing? Legendary.
Anyway, moving on from that, earlier on in the phone call, the phone guy mentions that the legendary beast was asking who killed Anna. Wait, so Anna did die? Well, how come she was able to leave hell? Did she go to heaven? Why was she sent to hell in the first place then? What did she do to get sent to heaven? I am actually losing my mind with this series. Anyway, in the night 6 phone call, the legendary beast calls you.
Fucking kill her.
Does the legendary beast have rabies? The game actually gives a bit more background on the legendary beast. So he is an animatronic you can see into the future and was made in 1951. Oh, so he isn't a child in the Fright 4. Also a psychic animatronic in 1951. Anyway, so he went on a rampage killing people because he wants sweet love. Fucking horny bastard. And he somehow died in 2008 and got brought back to life in 2051. So the legendary beast is basically Garvey Wright's creepy 100-year-old virgin brother. Fazbear's Return 5 has minigames between nights where you just go around killing children, just like Return to Freddy's 4. In the Fright 5, however though, these minigames are actually absent. When you beat Night 7, it shows a box from FNAF 4 and you can't open it. But when you beat Night 8, it opens. And when it opens, it plays the audio of Mr. Creepypasta's Five Nights at Freddy's 3 Hidden Lore video. The video is 13 minutes long and it plays it in its full duration.
You don't. I'm sorry, how many times have I stuck my neck out for you, you ungrateful asshole? You can't abandon me when the shit hits the fan.
Fred, why do you think I'm doing all this? Victor's not here to hide your tracks.
Luckily, when you're done listening, the game is finished. So, overall thoughts on this game? Again, it's just a worse version of Fazbear's Return 4, although I think it's a bit better than the Fright After Fredbear's Diner 4. It's better quality than 4, that being said, it's still a low quality reskin. And it does, for the most part, know when something from Fazbear's Return 4 doesn't fit the narrative, so it removes it. But overall, I would say stick to Fazbear's Return 4. I'm still not done talking about the Fright After Fredbear's Diner yet. Just a few days later, the Fright After Fredbear's Diner Remastered was released. This game is called the Fright After Fredbear's Diner Remastered. Judging by the title, you'd expect it to be a remake of the first Fright game. Well no, it's literally a reskin of Five Nights at Chuck's. Five Nights at Chuck's is a FNAF fan game series made by Jay Luriah and Zach the Kid. There were 4 games made, all were released in 2016, and the Fright Remastered reskinned the first game. Also, funnily enough, Scribby, who made Fazbear's Return, worked on the Five Nights at Chuck's series as well. The game opens with a news article saying that the new restaurant, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, is opening. When you beat Night 5, you get a check that says you play as Jenny Smith, and the game takes place in April 1993. Since this game is a remaster, I don't think it's canon to the previous Fright games. Now, I think Five Nights at Chuck's is a pretty boring game. There's no phone calls, no end of night minigames or cutscenes, other than when you beat Night 5 and 6, but it's nothing interesting. And it's yet another FNAF fan game where every animatronic does the exact same thing and it's the same strategy every night. Let's talk about the game's location. It just looks like a generic FNAF location. It's not bad or anything, but it's not very interesting. Some things don't make sense, like why does the office have a table with 12 chairs? As for the animatronics, you can probably guess who they are: Freddy, Bonnie, Chica and Foxy. The Five Nights at Chuck's characters they replace are Chuck, Pup, Bella and Mr. Koala. They all do the same thing, so I can't really tell you who replaces who, other than Foxy who replaces Mr. Koala as they both don't start on stage. I'm not even going to tell you who modelled the animatronics because I think at this point it's pretty damn obvious. So how do you actually play the game? Whenever you see an animatronic in cam 6, you have to seal the door in cam 6. When you seal the door, the animatronic will then move to cam 3, where you then have to seal the door in cam 3. However, you can't seal the doors for too long or they'll stop working. You have a reboot panel on your left where you have to reboot the door lock system. Also, if you look at the camera for too long, you'll get an error and you'll have to reboot the camera. There's also a Fredbear and Spring Bonnie Easter egg who replace Shadow Chuck and Shadow Pup. They have a rare chance of appearing in your office when you start at night and crashing your game. The biggest issue I have with this game is the animatronics are way too aggressive. It's almost impossible to deal with 2 of them at the same time. Night 5 is a real pain because of this and I spent multiple hours on Night 6. And after all that, I forgot to record my winning attempt.
Bruh.
I've said it once and I'll say it again, when all the animatronics do the same thing, the game pretty much has to be completely luck based in order for it to be challenging. Also, there's a Night 7 and 8 and I had to give up on Night 7 since it was just way too hard. And this isn't just a me problem. Five Nights at Chuck's was considered unbeatable by many, which is why in 2018 the game was updated and it nerfed the animatronics AI. However, the Fright Remastered is a reskin of the old version, so it maintains the same issues. Now, Five Nights at Chuck's actually has multiple endings, but here's the thing, I don't know how to get the good ending. I couldn't find anything online that goes into full detail on how you get the good ending. There is this one video by JPG Zeka on how to get the good ending, but it only shows 2 minigames. To get 2 minigames in the Fright Remastered, you have to click 2 posters in the office. In Five Nights at Chuck's, the good and bad ending are the same. It just shows the credits but with different music depending on which ending you got, and the image that shows the animatronics' heads have the shadow animatronics in the background for the good ending. Now, I said before that I forgot to record my Night 6 winning attempt because I'm a dunce, but I can simply tell you what happens. Instead of showing images of the animatronics' heads, it just has text that says bad ending, and it stays on screen for about 10 seconds. That's pretty much all there is to say about this game. Neither of them are very good, but if you had to choose, definitely play Five Nights at Chuck's. At least it looks good, and with the update, it's a lot more playable. And I'm still not done talking about the Fright After Fredbear's Diner series, because later in April 2016, the Fright After Fredbear's Diner 6 was released, even though it's actually the 7th game. Yes, this series got 7 fucking games. Okay, now that I've calmed down, let's actually talk about the game. So the Fright After Fredbear's Diner 6, or 666 as it's referred to as in the menu, is a reskin of Five Nights at Wario's. I don't think I need to explain what Five Nights at Wario's is, but it's a FNAF fan game series made by WWW Wario based off the Mario games. It was perhaps the first popular FNAF fan game series, and new installments are still being made to this day. The game opens with a cutscene that tells you that you play as a guy named Joe. No, obviously not that Joe. Joe went to investigate an abandoned building, but when he went into the building, the door shut and trapped him in. It's never explained where exactly you are, but I'm guessing it's an abandoned pizzeria. Like the Fright 5, the location does look pretty spooky, but it's nothing interesting. So as you all probably know, Five Nights at Wario's 1 is a FNAF 1 clone. You have to check the light on your left and right to see if anyone's there, and if you see someone you have to close the door, and you have limited power. The enemies are the Phantom animatronics. Phantom Freddy replaces Wario and Phantom Bonnie replaces Waluigi. Yes, there's a Phantom Bonnie in the game. Both will attack from the left door. Phantom Chica replaces Peach and Phantom Foxy replaces Luigi. Both will attack from the window on the right. Phantom Mangle replaces Mario. Phantom Mangle is active from night 4, they'll appear in the office and move closer to you. In their final stage, a room will start flashing and you need to pull up the camera. Mangle will only move closer to you each time you look at the camera. You can pretty much beat the whole game by just constantly checking the lights, you have no reason to look at the camera. Now, Five Nights at Wario's has been updated many times and a door light now drains your power even more. I haven't played the most recent update, but I've heard that your power goes down by 5 each time you use a door light. But this is a reskin of the old version. For some reason none of the jump scares are original, most of them were just taken from FNAF 3. Now, sure all the Fright games are full of stolen assets, but at least the jump scares are original. Even have a black screen behind them. Also, Phantom Bonnie's jump scare is a stolen fan-made jump scare by Raphael Ye. This fan-made Phantom Bonnie has a face, but in the Fright 6, he isn't supposed to have a face, so he just drew over it. Again, why couldn't you just make the jump scares yourself? So you get phone calls from night 1 to 5, it is mentioned at the start that these were messages left by demons. And none of the phone calls are original. Christ, this game was rushed. The phone calls are all just random David Near voiceovers.
Tonight, I finally get to cut her. Take me to her now. Better fighters than you have tried, and better fighters than you have failed. Kill them all, Toby.
Kill them all. You act like such a child, Tim. It's no surprise that people think you are one.
Well, if it isn't Mr. Rogers.
Everyone knows these names, but do any of you know mine? Do any of you care about my game?
I guess it makes sense since the messages are just supposed to be the demons talking to you. One thing that's very weird about this reskin is that in Five Nights at Wario's, time won't actually begin until the phone call is over. But in the Fright 6, the phone calls usually last longer than how they lasted in Five Nights at Wario's, so time usually will start during the phone calls. So the story of this game has nothing to do with the previous game, so I have no clue where it places in the timeline. When you beat Night 5, it shows a moving image of the animatronics' heads on the floor. Then it shows an image of a legendary beast who is Nightmare Springtrap again? Alright, you know, I give up with this series, I'm done trying to make sense of it. The image has text that says to be concluded. So is this it? Is it finally the end of the Fright after Fredbear's Diner? Well no, because there's a Night 6. When you beat Night 6, it shows an image of a hallway and text that reads, "You shall not come, so that's why you burned it down, I will come back." I have no idea what the fuck this means. And it also says, "Congratulations." Well, at least he spelled congratulations right. To be honest, there's not much of a difference between the Fright after Fredbear's Diner 6 and Five Nights at Wario's 1. There's really not much to say, just a boring FNAF 1 clone. I would say play Five Nights at Wario's if you had to choose one of them since it's the original. But I'm still not finished with the Fright after Fredbear's Diner. Yeah, because there was a Fright after Fredbear's Diner 2 Remastered. Okay, I'm just kidding, this ended up getting cancelled and there's no information known about it. So for real now, we are done talking about the Fright after Fredbear's Diner series. Psycho Clown didn't release another FNAF fan game for a month. I gotta admit, it's quite impressive that Psycho Clown managed to release 10 FNAF fan games in less than 3 months. He definitely had a lot of ideas, but was just too lazy to learn how to code. In June 2016, he released a new FNAF fan game, Those Weeks at Fredbear's Family Diner. It's once again a reskin, this time it's a reskin of FNAF 2. Wait, a reskin of FNAF 2? A game that you actually have to pay money for? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. Now, I know Scott obviously wouldn't care since it looks and sounds very different to FNAF 2 and it's free, but it's kind of funny that this is technically an illegal FNAF fan game. Speaking of legality, Psycho Clown's games honestly give off major pirated game vibes. It's a low quality text and copyrighted material. Okay, now let's actually talk about this game. It opens with a generic FNAF news article, I think you can guess what it says. As the title would suggest, the game takes place at Fredbear's Family Diner. Something interesting about the game's title is that it's called Those Weeks at Fredbear's Family Diner. That implies that you're spending multiple weeks at Fredbear's Family Diner. So does that mean there's like 30 nights in the game? No, there's just 7. However though, you do spend multiple weeks at Fredbear's Family Diner. The phone guy says that the animatronics only become aggressive on weekends.
But be careful of the weekends, as like weekends for them get like very corky for them.
So I guess that means that the game only shows the weekends. But it says week 1 to 7 instead of night 1 to 7, so it must only show one day of each weekend. Makes sense, I guess. But the phone guy later contradicts it on week 2 by saying that you're on the second night.
Well, congrats, we made it to the second night.
This confusion would have easily been solved if the game was just called A Week at Fredbear's Family Diner or something like that. The location is certainly an improvement over Psycho Clown's previous games. It's less empty and nothing was photoshopped or drawn over. So, since this is a FNAF 2 reskin, you have the mask, the lights, and the music box. What's really funny though is the mask is invisible. You can't see it when wearing it. Instead of having vents on your left and right, you have hallways. There's no sound cues when someone enters or exits one of the 2 hallways, so you might want to leave the mask on for slightly longer than you would in FNAF 2. These days people seem to have mixed feelings on FNAF 2, but I personally still really like it. However though, this is worse than FNAF 2 in just about every way. The toy animatronics are replaced with the unwithered animatronics, although I don't think it ever got attacked by Bonnie or Chica. Mangle is replaced with unwithered Foxy. Instead of making radio sounds, it's Foxy singing. The puppet is replaced with a new character named Goldie, who is just Golden Toy Freddy. Balloon Boy is replaced with JJ, and instead of just saying hi and hello, she has actual voice lines and they're really fucking annoying.
Hello? Anyone there? I just want to come in your office and bring my friends with me.
Withered Freddy is replaced with Fredbear, and Withered Bonnie is replaced with Spring Bonnie. I don't think it ever got attacked by Spring Bonnie either. Now, for Withered Chica and Withered Foxy, they were replaced with original animatronics. This time they weren't just recolors, their models were actually changed a bit. Withered Chica is replaced with Baby Bab, and holy shit, what have you done to Toy Bonnie? Why are the eyes so small? What's with the mouth? You can still see Toy Bonnie's upper teeth. Apparently, Baby Bab is supposed to be a rabbit. Well, why did they remove the ears? Also, I'm pretty sure I never saw her. Withered Fox is replaced with Nangle. Again, what's with the eyes? She's basically Toy Chica but with a top hat. Also, Nangle is supposed to be a human, which is strange. And lastly, Golden Freddy is replaced with Shadow Freddy. There's a bug where when he shows up in the office, you actually can't see him. This isn't really an issue though, as you should be wearing your mask as soon as you put down your monitor. So everyone who I actually came across aside from Shadow Freddy functions pretty much the same as how they did in FNAF 2. So imagine FNAF 2 but without any of the Bonnies or Chicas. That's basically what those weeks at Fredbear's Family Diner is. So is the story of the game any less confusing than the Fright games? Let's talk about it. Between the nights, or weeks, or whatever, you get cutscenes where you seem to be in a basement or something. It's a FNAF 2 cutscene reskin, so it's you looking around while the animatronics are next to you. In the week 2 cutscene, it's JJ and Nightmare Foxy. So the phone calls in the game are original. In the week 3 phone call, the phone guy tells you that a Golden Freddy suit was stolen.
Fazbear Entertainment is investigating a stolen suit from Fredbear's Family Diner. If you see a Golden Freddy suit that belongs to Fazbear Entertainment, call.
In the week 3 cutscene, JJ, Goldie and a puppet are looking at you. In the week 4 phone call, the phone guy tells you that Fredbear's Family Diner is closing and that 3 people went missing.
Oh, well, listen. Fazbear Entertainment closed the Fazbear Entertainment down because they have taken a very important thing inspired by us. Also, can you check the suits for any dead corpus? Cause there's been 3 people missing.
In the week 4 cutscene, it shows Springtrap, Nightmare Chica and Phantom Freddy. In the cutscene, Phantom Freddy moves whenever you move. Now, on week 5, you're not supposed to be working as Fredbear's Family Diner closed the previous day. Again, how long is the timeline of this game? Apparently it's 7 weeks, but it looks like it's just 1 week. Also, do you just have no days off since you're working on weekends too? When you beat week 5, it shows an image of Chica with a glowing eye and says, "Great job, wanna join my party?" Then, on the week 6 phone call, the phone guy turns evil.
They might still can be killed and join the family. We'll be part of the equation, Paul, and our version of the dungeon.
This happens right out of nowhere and it's not given any explanation. Did the phone guy get possessed or has he just been a twist villain the whole time? So week 7 is a custom night. Now, 1020 mode in FNAF 2 is infamously hard, with many calling it the second hardest night in the series next to 5020 mode. Even with this being an easier version of FNAF 2, it's still hard as hell and I wasn't able to beat it. But I do know what happens when you beat week 7. It says, "Great job, now get out." Makes sense, right? But it also says, "Welcome to Pirate Cove," while showing a stolen fan-made Withered Foxy image by Razar. Oh yeah, there's something I forgot to mention. When you beat night 6, you get an image of Freddy's head on the floor with Springtrap in the background that says, "To be continued." A few weeks later, those weeks at Fredbear's Family Diner 2 was released. At this point, the game being another reskin shouldn't come as a surprise. But this game is a reskin of FNAF 2, again. This is the 3rd series where we have the same game twice in a row. Something funny and also kinda outrageous is that in the menu it says, "Copyrighted by Unstoppable Trollgaming." Copyrighted, it's a fucking reskin of a copyrighted game with stolen models. Now get this, I found quite a few assets in the game's files that were used in the first Those Weeks game, so this is actually a reskin of Those Weeks 1, a reskin of a reskin. Anyway, the game modes are Story Mode, and that's it. The start of the game is quite cinematic as it has opening credits and shows the game's title. It then gives you some backstory. The character you play as, whose name is unknown, was coming back home after finishing his shift at the bar. On his way back he saw an asylum where they keep the animatronics from Fredbear's Family Diner. Then 4 days later, a group of teenagers dared him to spend a week at the asylum and he'll be given $100. Oh, how original, I've never heard that one before. So he's spending just 1 week, but it says week 1 to 7. Let's just move on. You get a loading screen at the start of each night which shows a random part of the asylum. Now I gotta admit, the location actually looks pretty damn good, although I'm pretty sure a lot of the rooms aren't original. Like the first Those Weeks game, instead of vents there's hallways. You actually can see the mask this time, but it's just a locker from the Return to Freddy's 4. As usual, a lot of the models are by Gabo CO, however some of them were not this time. This game has the Ignited animatronics from The Joy of Creation. Ignited Freddy, Bonnie and Chica replace Toy Freddy, Bonnie and Chica, and Ignited Foxy replaces Withered Foxy. This time I actually did encounter Ignited Bonnie and Chica. Balloon Boy is once again replaced with JJ, this time she doesn't talk. Speaking of sounds, there's once again no sound cues for when the animatronics enter or leave the hallways. There are these moaning sounds that can occasionally be heard, but I have no idea what it means. Also, this sound effect was taken from Insanity. Withered Freddy is replaced with Nightmare Fredbear and Withered Bonnie is replaced with Springtrap. Springtrap is the only enemy in the game that I never actually saw. Baby Bab makes a return and once again replaces Withered Chica. This time she's withered, but also her mouth has been completely replaced, so it doesn't look as messed up as how it looked in the first game. Nangle also makes a return and replaces Mangle, which makes more sense given her name. Nangle is also withered and her eyes are now bigger. The puppet is replaced with Nightmare, who's just referred to as Beast. This time you won't actually get a warning before he's about to attack unless you're actually looking at the camera. He also makes no noise when he's out to get you. And lastly, Golden Freddy is replaced with Nightmarion, who's just referred to as Bloody Puppet. As for the story of the game, there's not much to talk about. There isn't any phone calls, there's just cutscenes that you get between the nights. Also, the 6 AM screen is weirdly upbeat. In the cutscenes, you're in a bedroom. When the cutscenes end, instead of saying it's me, it says no place like home. In the week 2 cutscene, it shows Toy Bonnie and Toy Chica looking at you. In week 3, it's Freddy, Chica and Mangle, and in week 4, it's Toy Bonnie and Toy Chica again, but this time Golden Freddy is there and moves whenever you move. Then when you beat week 5, you get an ending screen that says, I was too late. I lost everything that I want now. It's gone. And one true love is gone. I made Fredbear's Family Diner to impress her, but no, when I came back it turned into this creepy thing called Asylum. I have nothing left. Why is everyone's motivation in Psycho Clown's games to find love, and they always do stupid things just to get love? Once again, 1020 mode is insanely hard and I didn't beat it. When you beat week 7 it just says 7th week complete. So, this is definitely an improvement over those weeks 1. It looks a lot better, feels more scary, it has far less bugs, and I would actually say gameplay wise it's almost as good as FNAF 2. I mean, I would still say play FNAF 2 instead, but if you don't want to spend money on FNAF 2, this isn't a bad free alternative. Oh yeah, what happens when you beat night 6? You get text that says, to be concluded. Free. You know what that means. We got those weeks at Fredbear's Family Diner free. The game was released in July of 2016. It opens with a minute-long cutscene that you can't skip where a spirit is talking to you. Hello there, you are hurt. You are wondering where you are now. You're at the hospital. Now you might be wondering who I am. I'm the soul of a young girl that was killed by the Purple Man, but I have no purpose of the Fredbear's Family Diner place and other location, but have my own story. But this isn't real. I'm in your dream, perhaps nightmare. You might be wondering why I'm talking to you. I actually wanted to give you good luck. Because, well, I'm really shy. All of my friends had happy endings for their lives. But I'm in a location that's not even a pizzeria or a diner, but something different as you think it would be. Well, I'm stuck down in hell, but luckily I was able to give you luck. Why do so many kids in Psycho Clown's games get sent to hell? Is it because they're not Christian? But while I'm in hell, I'm forced to kill you, and the Fredbear's storyline. I'm sorry, but you don't know what we've been through, so defend your friends from going to other strange locations that are haunted and disturbing. Now, for once the cutscene actually justifies being as long as it is. However though, you have to sit through it every single time you open the game. Keep that in mind. It once again has a dramatic opening. During the opening, there's a lot of text that goes into detail about the lore of the 3 Those Weeks games. So Those Weeks 1 takes place in 1983, and 3 days after the new night guard is hired, the bite of 83 occurs. How come it's never said anywhere in the game? Also, the kid died in 1 second from when he was bitten by Fredbear. Those Weeks 2 takes place 20 years before Fredbear's family diner closed. I thought it was 20 years after. So if I'm not mistaken, the second game takes place in 1963. The asylum unit was opened by an insane guy named Paul. Also, after you survive the week in the asylum, it burns down, and that the main character died in the fire. Again, how come this wasn't mentioned in the game? It also goes over some of the lore for Those Weeks 3, I'll go into more detail about this later. A few things I will say though is that it suggests that you play as the same guy that you play as in Those Weeks 2 but in the afterlife. And it says 37 years later, so does that mean that the game takes place 37 years after Those Weeks 2? I think this is the timeline of Those Weeks games based off my understanding of the opening crawl. So Those Weeks 3 is a reskin, obviously, but this time it's a reskin of a random FNAF fan game called Five Nights at Lucky 47 2. Five Nights at Lucky 47 is a FNAF fan game trilogy by Sonic 47 Central. The games were released from mid-2015 until early 2016. This series is so obscure that even I hadn't even heard of it before making this video. Although I did play Lucky 47 2 before making this video, and it's actually quite a decent game. Alright, back to Those Weeks 3. So, the game's location is obviously not original, as you can clearly tell, but I do really like the look of it. There's a variety of animatronics in the game. You have the humankind animatronics, those being Freddy, Bonnie and Chica. They're basically Withered Freddy, Withered Bonnie and normal Chica, but they're more withered and have organs. Yes, the animatronics have organs. I'll explain that a bit later. They replace John heads, Edward and Lucas. When they appear in your office, you have to turn off the lights by pulling the lever on your right. While the lights are off, you can't look at the camera and have to wait about 5 seconds before turning them back on. When an animatronic leaves, they'll make a quiet sound. Also, Burnt Foxy from Final Nights 2 is in the game, as well as a fan-made Burnt Fredbear. They replace Josh and 74 Xenos. When they appear in the office, they'll force the monitor down and the lights will flicker. When you see them, you have to turn off the lights, however they have less time to react and they make no noise when they leave. Then there's Nightmare Spring Bonnie, who's just a recolor of Nightmare Bonnie, but also has a corpse inside. In Lucky 47 2, John Heads actually has two AIs. One is where he behaves like everyone else, and the other he behaves like the puppet. You have to keep winding up the music box, and that's what Nightmare Spring Bonnie replaces. This time though, the music box actually moves around in the cameras, and you have to find it whenever it moves. Now let's talk about a fucking annoying Easter egg that can sometimes occur when you die. You'll get a fake error message or a fake virus warning, and then your game will crash. Remember how I said there's a minute-long cutscene at the start of the game that you can't skip? Well, you have to sit through that every time you get this Easter egg, and it's not even that rare, so it just becomes really annoying. So, there isn't any phone calls in the game, unlike Lucky 47 2, and there isn't any minigames or cutscenes after beating the nights. Except for when you beat Night 5, it shows an image of the FNAF plushes while saying the end. But it isn't the end because there's a Night 6 and a custom night. Now, the all max mode is really hard and I wasn't able to beat it. The game is quite RNG based, as you have no idea where Nightmare Spring Bonnie will move to next. You could easily get attacked by someone while looking for Nightmare Spring Bonnie, and if that happens, you could be dead. In Lucky 47 2, there's also these challenges you can enable on the custom night, but they're absent in Those Weeks 3. Now, I'm not done with this game yet, because there's actually multiple game modes. And this is something that Lucky 47 2 doesn't actually have. On the top right of the menu it says Modes. Here you can access 2 different game modes and 3 cutscenes. The game modes are Abandoned Location mode and the Airport mode. Both of them only contain one night. Both game modes are reskins, obviously. Abandoned Location mode is a reskin of Five Nights at Chuck's. Yep, we're doing it again, another game that you already reskinned. Also, I'm pretty sure this is a reskin of Night 7 or 8 since it's really hard. I'm gonna keep this kind of brief since I've already talked about Five Nights at Chuck's. The abandoned location looks like another part of the main location, so maybe it is the same location just in a different area. As for the animatronics, more of them are from Final Nights 2, that being Burnt Freddy, Burnt Chica and the brother. There's also Shadow Bonnie, who's an active enemy. What's weird though is Shadow Bonnie's jump scare is Shadow Springtrap. What's really funny about abandoned location mode is that there's a bug where the reskin sometimes doesn't load and you can see the Five Nights at Chuck's office. Also, Shadow Chuck and Shadow Pup weren't reskins, so you might encounter them in their raw form. Now on to Airport mode. Now I would like you to have a guess. What is Airport mode a reskin of? Five Nights at Chuck's. Again, you could have at least reskinned a different game, especially when these are supposed to be 2 different game modes. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've always thought a FNAF fan game that takes place in an airport would be very interesting, but this is just a boring reskin. This time you have Plushtrap, Phantom Balloon Boy, Night Marion, and some Shadow Balloon Boy with purple eyes. So I wasn't able to beat either of these since they're reskins of Knights that are already extremely hard. There doesn't seem to be any videos of anyone beating these game modes either, but I wouldn't be surprised if nothing happens, since nothing happens when you beat Night 6 or 7. Now let's talk about the cutscenes. Each of the cutscenes is a ghost at the start of the game telling you a story. There's 3 stories, each have a name. One of them is not only robots in some parts. It tells you there was a location called Freddy's Burger Shop, and that the factory that makes the animatronics just went insane and started to make human hybrid animatronics with organs. Something the ghost says is, "It kills me when I kill children." Smiley face. So the ghost is being forced to kill children? Is Satan the one forcing her? Is Satan Nightmare in this universe? Also, whenever the story is over, you get a fake error message that crashes your game. You'll probably spend just as much time watching the opening cutscene as you would with all these stories combined. Another story is the killer's origins. This tells you about the events that occurred in FNAF, which are also canon to those weeks. Just like the Fright games, the Bite of 83 and the murder of the 5 children are canon. It also talks about the purple guy getting spring-locked, which in the game says happened 30 years after the Bite of 83, meaning it happened in 2013. Wait, doesn't this game take place in 2000? Or maybe they meant 37 years after those weeks 1? I don't know man, the timeline of this series is fucked. And lastly, there's Heart of the Story. This story reveals that the ghost's name is Jenny. Jenny had a boyfriend whose name is unknown. In this universe, he's actually the kid who was killed outside of the pizzeria by the purple guy, though this time it was outside Fredbear's family diner. After that, Jenny was kidnapped by the purple guy, she was put into a spring suit and died. Towards the end, she has a meltdown and says that she will find her boyfriend to save him. What does she mean by find him? Is he in a different part of hell? Is he in heaven? Then she breaks a 4th wall by saying, "I know you behind that computer screen," and then it ends. So that was those weeks at Fredbear's Family Diner 3. Honestly, I kinda like it more than Lucky 47 2. Now yes, obviously this is a reskin and most positives with it are solely due to the fact that it's a reskin. But I do like the visuals more, even if they are stolen. And it does have quite a lot of differences to the original, making it stand out more. I can totally understand people being completely put off this game because it's a reskin, but it is quite enjoyable. Now let's take a break from those weeks at Fredbear's Family Diner, as the next game PsychoClown made was Five Nights at Pups Funland. The game was released in August of 2016. This time it's a reskin of FNAF 1. It opens with a generic news article, you get the gist. What's interesting about this game is that it actually has original animatronics, but they're just made up of FNAF animatronic parts. The designs aren't actually that bad. If you pay attention, you will notice assets from other FNAF animatronics. Like Withered Bonnie's jaw is used several times, but they mostly do pass off as original animatronics. Freddy is replaced with Pup the dog, Bonnie is replaced with White Rabbit, Chica is replaced with Johnny the monkey, and Foxy is replaced with Joey the mouse, who looks a bit messy, like what's up with that tail? The game's location is just a generic FNAF 1 lookalike. It also lacks a fear factor of FNAF 1. Also, the hallways were painted over again. I mean, come on man, I thought we had moved past that by now. Now, I will say, the gameplay is actually very different to FNAF 1, because unlike FNAF 1, it's really broken and exploitable. So, White Rabbit just straight up can't kill you. He can appear at the left door, but he won't kill you regardless on what you do. Johnny can jam the door, and if that happens, he will kill you if you view the monitor. But if you keep clicking the light button, it'll eventually fix itself and Johnny won't kill you. That leaves us with Pup and Joey. Both seem to be more aggressive than Freddy and Foxy. In Night 1 in FNAF 1, you have to almost completely ignore the cameras a whole night in order for Foxy to attack you. Here though, Joey is about as aggressive on Night 1 as Foxy is on Night 2. Pup acts mostly the same as Freddy, but he makes a different sound whenever he moves. This game also has an exploit where if you get to about 3 AM and have about 60% power, if you just look at the camera for the rest of the night, you might make it to 6. So there is a Golden Freddy replacement and that's Biddy Pup. Unlike Golden Freddy, they're actually very common, however they can be completely avoided as you never need to look at Cam 2B. There is one strange Easter egg in the game that is in FNAF 1, and that's the Mini Pups. There's 3 of them and they can appear in Cam 5, they're harmless though. Just like FNAF 1, there's no cutscenes or minigames between the nights. The only lore you really get is through the phone calls. Also, what's weird about the phone calls is that there isn't a ring. As soon as you start the night, it just starts rambling. So the phone guy is not only open to the fact that the animatronics will try to kill you.
Actually, to be honest, those doors are used for the animatronics. So, the reason why it's really animatronics, because you know why I said that free roam mode? You actually go around your office, and they will kind of come and kill you.
But also the fact that they have dead kids inside of them.
Like, let me tell you a secret, like, this is pre-recorded retroactively, but I just want to tell you this, like, there was actually dead kids inside the outfits. Like, if you hear, like, disturbing, like, moaning sound, that means that's the kid inside the suit.
So the employees know that the animatronics have dead kids in them, yet they're still open. Who the fuck's running the place? The CIA? The Night 5 phone call is weird. The phone guy just acts scared and then Pup starts talking to you.
No. The phone call, oh no. Like, I think in my room is like phone radio, you know. So about
I'm Bob. So much. I'm coming for you.
So I think he fucking dies, but he doesn't make any noise, so I guess Pup just quickly bit his head off or something. When you beat Night 5, it reveals that you play as Stan Schmidt, and that the game takes place in September of 1996. When you beat Night 6, you get an almost identical ending screen to Night 5. What's funny about this is it says that they both take place on the 23rd of September 1996, when Night 6 is the day after Night 5. Now, the custom night is quite interesting, as you can set the animatronics AI as high as you want. Well, not really. You can make the AI go beyond 20, but their AI in-game won't actually be higher. Now, it seems obvious that this is a bug. However though, if you set all the animatronics to 50, you'll access a secret Night 50. Night 50 is about as hard as Night 4, which isn't really that hard since White Rabbit and Johnny aren't a threat. When you reach 6 AM, the game will just freeze, similar to Night 8 in FNAF 1 and 2. As for the All Max mode, which is referred to as Impossible mode, it actually isn't much easier than 420 mode in FNAF 1, unless you use a camera exploit. Freddy and Foxy are the main threats in 420 mode, and they're very much still active threats here. When you beat Night 7, you get fired for tampering with the animatronics. That's pretty much all there is to say about this game. It's just a poorly made FNAF 1 clone, and that's really it. Now, Five Nights at Pub's Funland is the first game Psycho Clown made that actually didn't get a follow-up. A month later in September 2016, another Those Weeks at Fredbear's Family Diner game was released, that being Those Weeks at Fredbear's Family Diner 4. The game is a reskin of Fazbear's Return 2, that's right, another Fazbear's Return game. Now, as far as my knowledge goes, Scribby has never addressed any of these Fazbear's Return reskins. I mean, this was 2016, and back then FNAF fangame developers stole from each other all the time, so maybe he didn't have a problem with it. Although these games were fairly obscure, so it's possible that he wasn't aware of them. The game opens with a news article saying that an abandoned diner from the 80s is reopening and they need a night guard. So Fazbear's Return 2 is another FNAF fangame where every animatronic does the exact same thing. How it works is you have a hallway on your left and the camera panel is on your right. When an animatronic runs past the hallway, you have to be staring at them. You don't have enough time to turn to the hallway when an animatronic attacks, so if you see an animatronic in cam 6 or 7, you should look at the hallway. You can't just look at the hallway the whole time though, because you have an insanity meter, which will increase whenever you look at the hallway. This is so that you can't just cheese the game by staring at the hallway the whole time. That's how you play Fazbear's Return 2. So how do you play Those Weeks 4? Well, it's almost the same, except for just one thing. They removed the insanity mechanism. Yes, they outright removed it from the game, and because of that, you can literally beat the whole game by doing nothing.
You had one job.
Just the one?
Now, don't get me wrong, the insanity isn't a great mechanism. It does make the game very RNG based, as it takes a long time for the animatronics to attack. But I'd rather have a game be too RNG based yet beatable than easily being beaten by doing nothing. The game does actually have quite an unnerving atmosphere to it, but it's hard to really feel scared whilst AFK. In Fazbear's Return 2, the animatronics are Joe, Toxic, Vasco, Baylor, Freddy, and Bonnie. They're replaced with the unbanded animatronics, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Golden Freddy, and Spring Bonnie. The animatronic designs are weird. They look like bootleg torture animatronics from the Return to Freddy's 5. If you look closer, you'll see that these are actually all the same model, just with a few different parts. I'm not sure if these models were even altered for the game or if they're just someone else's fan-made torture animatronic models. Unlike Fazbear's Return 2, there isn't any phone calls, so if you've never played Fazbear's Return 2 before, you'll have no idea what you're supposed to do. There isn't really a story to this game, and I have no clue when the game takes place, but obviously a long time after the 1980s. There are minigames after each night in Fazbear's Return 2 where you play as Zack and go around tampering with the animatronics. This time you play as a puppet who looks just like the brother from Final Nights 2. There's no consistency with these minigames. In the Night 1 minigame you go up to a ghost child wearing a Freddy head. In the Night 2 minigame you go up to a child wearing a Fredbear head. In the Night 3 minigame you go up to Freddy, and Night 4 minigame you go up to Mangle. I have no idea what you're supposed to be doing. I guess you're awakening the dead children, but one of them clearly isn't dead, and one's a ghost while the other two are animatronics. In the Night 5 minigame, a child gets bitten by Fredbear. This is something that also happens in Fazbear's Return 2, but it's Joe instead of Fredbear. Then you get a news article that says that the diner burnt down. The cause of the fire is under investigation. In the Night 6 minigame, you go up to a ghost child, and then it ends. Then you get the Freedom ending, which shows text that reads, "Our children shall rest in peace once and for all. You all are here today to remember those you spent with, your children and family and best friends. Do you know what it feels like when you die? There's just freedom. You don't have to worry about the pains you suffer or being bullied. But today our children are in our other world now. Happy. So everyone pray for your child to have a happy life in heaven." Jeez, that was deep. As the text displays on screen, the animatronic plushies start to fade. In the Night 7 minigame, you go up to a ghost child who just teleports inside of Fredbear. Then Fredbear gets covered in blood. So did Fredbear eat the ghost? Yeah, that's not how physics work. And then you get the Purple Man Crisis ending. When someone gets insane, they become a psychopath by killing his own child and starts crying because he doesn't know what he is anymore. They call me the child killer, but I'm only 27. Dude, you're not a fucking child if you're 27. But I don't know what it is to me. What the fuck is this ending? In the Night 8 minigame, yes, there's a Night 8, you go up to a dead child and then it ends. Then you get the Purple Man Crisis ending again. And that was those weeks at Fredbear's Family Diner 4. It's tied as being the easiest FNAF fan game I've ever played, with you literally being able to beat the game idle. That's pretty much it really. Just play Fazbear's Return 2, it's infinitely better. Now, those weeks 4 was actually intended on being the last game in the series. So yes, the Purple Man Crisis ending was how the series was supposed to go out. But it wasn't the last game though. In December 2016, Those Weeks at Fredbear's Family Diner Revised was released. This is supposed to be a remaster of the first Those Weeks game, but like the Fright Remastered, it's a totally different game. Also like the Fright Remastered, it's a reskin of a Five Nights at Chuck's game. This time it's Five Nights at Chuck's 3. Like with Scribby, I don't think the Five Nights at Chuck's dev team ever said anything about these Five Nights at Chuck's reskins. This was the first reskin Psycho Clown made that doesn't share the same save data as the game it's reskinning. So regardless on if you've played Five Nights at Chuck's 3 or not, you'll start on Night 1. When you press New Game, it plays a dramatic cutscene. The game introduces a new character. His name is never said, so I'm just going to call him the Sign Guy. In the cutscene, he is seen tampering with Baby. In the next scene, he seems to be in a different location with a puppet. Then there's a first-person view of a guy in a Freddy suit. Then in the next scene, there's an animation of a Sign Guy in a golden toy Freddy suit stabbing a child. Then it shows this creepy image of the animatronics with dead kids inside of them. Then the puppet pops up and says, "Help me get revenge, give life, give gifts." It then shows a conversation between a Fredbear plushie and Jenny. "Hey there. Hi there, friend. I missed you." "I missed you too, Jenny. Hey Jenny, I have a task for you. The task is to make sure you find him so we're free. I won't let you down. I'll try everything so I save your friends to reach freedom. We won't rest until we find the killer, Fredbear." I gotta say, this is actually a really eerie cutscene. It gives off analog horror vibes, and it's a compliment I actually can give to the game, since it isn't in Five Nights at Chuck's 3. After the cutscene, you get a news article that says that Fredbear's Family Diner is opening in Delaware. It also says that the game takes place over the course of multiple weeks. Let's not go there again. The game's opening was quite promising, so you'd expect it to be pretty good going in. Well, Five Nights at Chuck's 3 is yet another boring FNAF fan game where pretty much every animatronic does the same thing. How it works is if an animatronic leaves its starring location, you can use a hot steam to send them back. The animatronics in Five Nights at Chuck's 3 are Chuck, Pup, Bushy, Bella, PT and Hybrid Toonybot. The animatronics in those weeks revised are Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. They're all the same models as the one used in the first Those Weeks game. In Five Nights at Chuck's 3, if an animatronic enters one of your 2 hallways, you have to stare at them until they leave. Those Weeks revised actually fixes the biggest issue I had with Five Nights at Chuck's 3. There is a common bug where if you pull up the monitor, the game will crash. It doesn't make the game unplayable since you don't really need to put down the monitor, but it's still really annoying. This bug still happens in Those Weeks revised, but not nearly as often. That being said, the game is a lot worse than Five Nights at Chuck's 3 and might actually be the worst game in the series. So how did they fuck it up? Similar to how Those Weeks 4 removes the most fundamental part of the game, the insanity, Those Weeks revised remove the steam. So the only way to stop the animatronics is by staring at them when they enter your hallways. So does that make the game too easy? Quite the opposite. It's so hard that I couldn't even make it past week 3. This time you can't actually see when an animatronic is in the hallways, so you have to watch them on the cameras to check when they enter the hallway. Which does work, except for when there's an animatronic in both hallways. 90% of the time if this happens, you're completely fucked, and this happens so often. Also, 2 animatronics in Five Nights at Chuck's 3 are immune to being stared at, so does that mean some of the animatronics just can't be dealt with? Again, why would you remove the central mechanism from the game? Is it to make it stand out compared to the original? Well, it stands out but for all the wrong reasons. Also in Five Nights at Chuck's 3, there's a Shadow Chuck and Shadow Toonie bot, but they're only active on night 8. I've not beaten night 7 in Chuck's 3, so I can't really talk about it. In Cam 7, there's these 2 endoskeleton animatronics, one with Fredbear's head and the other with Spring Bonnie's head. There's a video by Logan ZX that shows week 5, and on week 5 they seem to be active threats. The video shows a Fredbear endoskeleton entering the office and killing the player shortly afterwards. I think they might replace Shadow Chuck and Shadow Toonie bot but are active on night 5 instead of night 8. Moving on from the gameplay, another thing that this game has that Five Nights at Chuck's 3 doesn't have are phone calls. One other redeeming quality about this game are the phone calls. They are bloody hilarious.
Do you know that there's some kind of puppet thing in some room that is not on the map layout? Like you know, I really don't like that puppet thing, but he won't come to you. Because I know what he is capable of. Because I killed him. Just kidding, it was a joke. It never happened, there's no such thing about a puppet thingy. I have to meet William Afton's parents a visit. You know what I mean.
The phone calls are made using text-to-speech, and I wasn't able to access the phone calls in the game's files, so they must have been made in ClickTeam. Also, there's 2 phone guys, and I guess the week 1 phone guy gets killed by the week 2 onwards phone guy.
Hello there. So you're wondering where is the guy that talked to you yesterday? He is in a better place now. He's not a big deal anymore.
So the phone guy wants to take over Fredbear's family diner. It's implied that he was once a night guard and quit because he didn't get paid, and I guess he wants to take over Fredbear's family diner as an act of revenge. So I didn't make it past week 3, however though JPG Zeka did, and the week 4 phone call... I have no idea what the fuck is going on. Also, there isn't a phone call on week 5. Also, there's these minigames between nights where you play as a light blue guy and go around killing children, seen it all before. Now, I would assume that the light blue guy is William Afton since he's a child killer. But William Afton is supposed to be purple, so I think it might actually be the phone guy and he too is a child killer. With this being a remaster, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be canon to the rest of Those Weeks games. Now, I looked through the game's files and I didn't find an ending screen or anything, so I guess nothing happens when you beat the later nights. So that's it for Those Weeks Revised. It's another one that I don't really have a lot to say about since it's probably unbeatable. And that's it, that's the end of the Those Weeks at Fredbear's Family Diner series. Honestly, I think it should have ended at Those Weeks 3, it would have at least made for a somewhat decent FNAF fan game trilogy. The last 2 games just felt like filler, they had pretty much nothing story-wise and they're both insanely broken. So all the games I've talked about so far are fairly obscure, like I wouldn't be surprised if you've never heard of any of them. But the next game Psycho Clown made was actually pretty damn popular and perhaps his most well-known game. And that game is Left to Rust. The game was released in March of 2017. It's very different to the other games we've talked about so far. As far as my knowledge goes, this was the first Psycho Clown game where multiple people actually worked on it. Those who worked on it were Psycho Clown's friends. Lonesoft Games was a sound editor, Bromeo Gaming was a voice actor, and D-Matrix Games made some of the textures. Also, this game is actually not a reskin. Well, kinda, we'll talk about that a bit more later. Now, Left to Rust was actually a very ambitious game, as it has animated cutscenes between the nights and it has vastly different gameplay mechanics throughout the nights. Keep in mind, this was early 2017, these aspects were still uncommon for a FNAF fan game. When you press new game, you get a 3-minute long cutscene. It starts off with a first person view of you inside a Lolbit suit. You then watch Baby get scooped while Ennard watches. Then it fast forwards to 34 years later. In the next scene it shows it inside of an abandoned building while it plays the audio from the sister location's Springtrap cutscene but lower pitched.
She's free now. But something is wrong with me. I should be dead. Or not.
The camera slowly pans over to the right until you see Springtrap. Then you get text that tells you the premise of the game. In this universe, William Afton has a brother named Nick. They went to the abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza to get animatronic parts but ended up getting trapped inside. The pizzeria is haunted by the rusted animatronics. They both ended up getting separated after an animatronic took Nick. William then fled to the office. So you actually play as William Afton in this game. The phone calls are all pre-recorded messages from William Afton, which is a bit strange. Also, the phone calls are really quiet and I can barely hear them over the game's ambience.
Unfortunately, I will only be able to adjust these pre-recorded messages, because I have attended the business at my own place, Circus Baby.
Decompiling is a blessing. So as the name would suggest, Rust is this game's theme. The rooms are all rusted and the animatronics are all called the rusted animatronics. The animatronic models were once again made by Gabo.co, but they're different to the ones used in Psycho Clown's previous games. All of the animatronics have been retextured, recolored and appear more withered. Also, they're models for SFM instead of Cinema 4D. Personally, I actually like the look of this place. It reminds me of the Dormitibus location. Yes, I like the look of Dormitibus. Call me a dickhead. It feels like purgatory and it's definitely somewhere you want to get out of. Now let's talk about the gameplay. So you have 2 doors, one on your left and one on your right, and a ceiling vent. You can close any of these when an animatronic gets near. The only way to tell if an animatronic is coming is to use the cameras. Cam 1 leads to the left door, Cam 2 leads to the right door, and Cam 5 leads to the vent. When an animatronic is in one of those cameras, you have to close whatever door they're in. However, though you have power usage, the camera won't use any power though. If you run out of power, you'll get killed by Rusted Bidybab. Back when it came out, Left to Rust garnered a reputation for being extremely hard. And yeah, as far as Night 1s go, Night 1 is pretty damn hard. The animatronics are not only aggressive, but when they're outside your door or vent, they'll kill you within a matter of seconds. Luckily, they will leave after a few seconds too. On Night 1 you have Rusted Chica and Rusted Bonnie. They both do the same thing, they'll attack from the left door and the vent. The nights are pretty damn short, only lasting 4 minutes and 30 seconds. When you beat Night 1 you get a cutscene. It shows Springtrap walking across the screen. Springtrap is actually talking in the cutscene and, the voice acting?
I will kill to find you, and I will make you suffer. I don't care who's innocent or not.
So in this universe, Michael Afton is actually Springtrap instead of William. Michael wants to kill William as an act of revenge. It's not clear exactly what William did to Michael, but in this universe, William Afton is still the killer. Now back to the gameplay. In the Night 2 phone call, William mentions a location called Fazbear's Burgers, which burnt down at some point.
Here, like the place called Fazbear's Burgers. It's like half pizzeria and half warehouse would be like. You're wondering who is at Fazbear's? Like, you know, most likely Freddy and this clown kind of thing freaks me out, and it's all messed up after the fire took place where I live.
Also, the phone calls, or at least a Night 2 phone call, was recorded in 2005. It is later revealed that the game takes place in the year 2030, and Baby got scooped in 1996.
Came here all right here to make a video of your channel? I didn't know you have that. That's what I'm guessing you have. From this generation of 2030.
Also, a lot of events that happened in the FNAF timeline happened here, such as the Bite of 87 and Fazbear's Fright burning down. The Night 2 phone call is also hilarious. The voice actor sounds like he's reading the script for the first time.
Look on the bright side. You're listening to my phone call message I recorded on 2005, when the bite of the 7 happened a long time ago from then. Also, the prank went well, but I don't know where my son is. Maybe he is somewhere in a better place. Lol.
Did he seriously just say lol after talking about his son being missing and presumed dead? No wonder his son wants him dead. On night 2, Rusted Foxy, Rusted Bonbon and Rusted Bidybab are now active. Rusted Foxy is in Cam 7. He'll progress through 3 stages before leaving. When he leaves, you have to close the right door. He makes a sound whenever he moves. So you don't really need to watch him if you pay attention to how many times you hear him. Rusted Bonbon will only attack from the vent. He also makes a sound whenever he moves.
Oh, calm down. I think it was just a mouse.
Night 2 introduces a new mechanism. On your right there is a power button which if you click on it, the power will go up. And holy fuck is this exploitable. If you keep spamming the power button, the power will not go down at all. There's also a glitch where the power will sometimes go above 100. But here's the real kicker. Everyone's AI is so aggressive that you pretty much have to use his exploit in order to beat Night 2. Also, Rusted Bidybab will appear in your office every once in a while and drain your power by about 75%. After this happens, you're forced to spam the power button, and if you don't, next time Bidybab attacks, you'll probably lose all of your power. Also, the key thing is to move your mouse while spamming the button. For some reason, doing this makes the power go up even faster. When you beat Night 2, you get another cutscene. The cutscene takes place on the 23rd of May 1987. It shows William and Nick having an argument with peak dialogue and voice acting.
You always forget. How can the children come in this pizzeria?
They can't. They're afraid of this
The
place.
kids are not scared of this place.
Yes, they are.
Idiot. They love this place. It's a magical place for kids and grown-ups alike.
Yeah, the people die at.
Fuck off.
Shut up.
I'm out. I can go to my own place.
Get out of here.
Call
This is
Soldier
mine.
Babies Road if you need me.
Well, get the
Alright.
hell out of here.
I'm out.
Go look on that. Oh, shut up.
Nick Afton.
William Afton.
I'm leaving. I'm not coming back to this pizzeria again.
Yeah, go look on that.
Then William walks off and, is that Michael from GTA 5? The cutscene ends with the animatronics looking at the camera. So Night 3 doesn't have a phone call. It introduces a new mechanism, that being the controlled shock. The new enemies on Night 3 are Rusted Bonnet and Rusted Ballora. Rusted Bonnet will appear in your office every once in a while. When this happens, you have to use a controlled shock. Now, Rusted Bonnet is a pain in the ass because the time it takes for her to kill you is randomized, and she has a chance of killing you too quickly or sometimes instantly. Rusted Ballora will attack from one of the doors. You can't see her in the cameras and instead have to listen out for singing. I'm not sure how you tell what side she's on, but it doesn't matter since you can just keep both the doors shut the whole time. When you get to 2 AM, you get jump scared by Rusted Baby and the night ends. Then you get a 10-minute long cutscene. That's right, 10 minutes. So Rusted Baby kidnapped you and spends most of the cutscene just rambling.
Wait for your son to come soon. He's coming and he's not happy, man. He will beat the living crap out of you, and you will suffer, and we shall watch. It's like watching a bear fight against a big bear. And the big bear always wins, but the small bears always lose.
It is implied that the events that happen in this location also happened in Left to Rust. Also, it is said that William Afton was younger than 50 in 2005.
I don't need to worry. I'm around the age 28. Hopefully, if I hit the age 50, my past victims will remember me.
It's hard to really make out what's being said, but it sounded like he said he was 28 in 2005, which isn't logical if that's right. This time the child who possesses Baby isn't Elizabeth, instead it's a girl named Charlie who isn't related to William. Which is funny since Charlie is the name of the girl who possesses a puppet in FNAF. I think in this universe, Michael Afton is the only child of William, as there's no mention of him having any other children. Towards the end of the cutscene, William passes out and then Michael Afton arrives. And I have no idea what the fuck is going on in the next scene.
Okay, guys.
Take this, Circus! Don't look at me!
You then get text that tells you that William Afton has woken up 5 hours later. Then Michael meets William, and they keep on talking over each other, so I don't really know what's being said.
I'm sorry for the past. It's like fall in the summertime. Before cold-blooded fight. And then,
Now, Night 4 is completely different to Night 1 to 3. You're in a different room and have different mechanisms. So, remember how I said Left to Rust is kinda an original game? Yeah, so the cutscenes are all original, Night 1 to 3 is original. Night 4, however though, is a reskin of a FNAF fan game called Don't Scare Me, I'm Scared. Don't Scare Me, I'm Scared is a FNAF fan game series by Booby Gamer. It's a FNAF fan game that takes place in Minecraft and has the Minecraft mobs as enemies. From 2016 until 2020, 10 games were released. Night 4 reskinned the first game. However, it's quite different to Don't Scare Me, I'm Scared. There's 3 enemies active: Rusted Ennard, Rusted Funtime Foxy, and the Rusted Mini-Renas. Rusted Funtime Foxy just acts like the puppet in FNAF 2. You have to wind up the music box in Cam 2. Rusted Ennard is the main threat. In front of you there is a hallway where he can appear. There's only 3 cameras. When Ennard appears in Cam 1, his next step is the hallway. When you see him leave, you have to use a flare. You have 30 flares. There's a green button on your left that you can press to gain more flares, so really it's unlimited. By the way, the flare asset was taken from the Sea Shifter Austin's 2, which is part of the Fazbear's Return series. And then you have the Rusted Mini-Renas. They'll show up every once in a while and set your flares to 1. If you use a flare when the Mini-Renas appear, the green button will disappear, meaning that you're pretty much dead unless you're near 6 AM. In Don't Scare Me, I'm Scared, you'll gain 1 flare every once in a while, and that's the only way to regain flares. Also, there isn't an enemy that takes them away. You also have power usage, and to be honest, I forgot it was even in the game. I never once ran out of power. So, this night is pretty much luck based. You just gotta hope that the Mini-Renas don't appear at the same time as Ennard. Although it is a lot more functional than the previous nights, and it can be quite intense at times. This time when you beat Night 4, you don't actually get a cutscene. So on to Night 5. Night 5 takes place in a different room and has different mechanisms. And it's also a reskin of Five Nights at Chuck's 2. But there's been so many changes that it really makes me question why he reskinned Five Nights at Chuck's 2 instead of completely coding Night 5. The same could be said about Night 4 as well, to be honest. So Night 5 has a reputation for being extremely hard amongst those who've played it. Some of the enemies active are Rusted Freddy, Rusted Bidybab, and Rusted Ennard, who all do the same thing. You can seal the door in Cam 1, 3, and 6. If someone is in Cam 3, you need to seal it as the next step is your office. There's also Rusted Golden Freddy, who does the same thing but attacks from Cam 6. If you have a door sealed for too long, the power will go out and you'll be unable to view the monitor. When the power goes out, you'll have to pull the lever on your right, but you'll probably get killed whilst doing so. Then there's Rusted Puppet, who is outside of the window in front of you. You have to keep winding up the music box on the monitor. The puppet will slowly move out of the box, and that is how you tell how far the puppet is from killing you. And lastly, you have the mini puppets. They'll walk past your window. There can be anywhere between 1 and 3 of them. On your left, there's 3 buttons. They're red, green, and blue. When you see a mini puppet, you have to press one of the buttons. I think it's random which one you have to press, but just keep clicking each one until it sends a mini puppet away. Rusted Puppet and the mini puppet's AI is original to Left to Rust. The mini puppets are what make the night hard. You're supposed to be checking Cam 3 and 6 constantly whilst winding up the music box. And if you start sealing a door while the mini puppet attacks, you're pretty much fucked. And the cherry on top is that if you get jump scared by one of these wanky little cunts, they will crash your game. And this happened to me so many times that I probably spent a good 20 minutes or so just reloading the game. With all that said, there's an exploit to this night. However though, it's something that you can't control. Sometimes all the animatronics aside from the puppet and the mini puppets just won't be active. Also, the music box doesn't have a maximum level, so if you spam the music box loads, you can literally wait multiple minutes before winding it up again. When you beat Night 5, you get one final cutscene. Before I talk about that though, I'd like to show you an unused cutscene that confirms Nick Afton was killed by the animatronics.
Now, devil. God damn it. What? Nick, he's dead. Whoa!
So, in the Night 5 cutscene, William is trying to escape the place. As he's running down the hallway, he runs into Springtrap, who has a fucking gun, and shoots him. Something that really sucks is that there's a bug that will sometimes occur where the game will crash after you get shot, and you won't unlock the extras. This happened to me, unfortunately. But luckily there are videos of the full cutscene, and I'm just gonna play it for you.
That's what you get. Let's get it right. Why would you do this for? Because you've done everything to me. Sorry, son. I'm not sorry for anything. You're not I didn't mean to divorce your mom. She's dead because of this time. Tough time is worth. Well, son, you will die as father, son. Yeah, no, I die, mine. You die. I don't. I go to heaven. I deserve every piece of it. I'm gonna fucking shoot. Dude. I don't give a fuck. Fuck. I hate you.
After Michael kills William, the credits roll. In the background of the credits, it shows a pizzeria burning down. Something weird about the credits is that it credited the Return to Freddy's 3 and the Sea Shifter Austin's 2 for inspiration, but not Don't Scare Me, I'm Scared or Five Nights at Chuck's 2. Towards the end, it says, they are now free, now no more suffer and pain. And then it says, to be continued, Left to Rust 2, which ended up getting cancelled. So if I'm being real, Left to Rust is a terrible game, but it's honestly a lot of fun. This game is a big guilty pleasure for me and I'd recommend playing it. Also, credit when credit's due, Psycho Clown had a lot of good ideas for this game, he just didn't know how to execute them well. I feel like Left to Rust would have been even more popular had it just been coded better, since a lot who played it back when it came out had no idea what to do. So Left to Rust was monumental for Psycho Clown, as the next lot of games he made were quite popular, with many of them being played by Fusion Z Gamer and ETH Goes Boom. Now moving on from Psycho Clown's most well-known game, now onto another game that would spawn a series. This series would become Psycho Clown's most well-known work, and that series is Benny the Clown Circus World. The game was released in May of 2017. When you press new game, you get a cutscene that's very similar to the Sister Location opening, but with a titular animatronic Benny the Clown talking.
But somehow, we can roam around. My friends and I were just created at this moment, and we will now be sent to a circus to be rescued.
You then get a news article that tells you that a clown company is looking for a night guard. There's also other news articles, one of them confirms that the FNAF lore is canon to Benny the Clown, saying that Toy Foxy did the Bite of 87 and there's a new location opening soon. The other two articles are just random stuff that have nothing to do with the game. One tells you there was a robbery in Indianapolis and that the robber was some 12-year-old, and the other says that Pizza Hut is struggling in the US, likely because it's a sit-down restaurant rather than a delivery chain. Left to Rust was mostly an original game, so did Psycho Clown continue on with that in the next game? No, he reskinned another FNAF fan game, and it's yet another Fazbear's Return game, and it's Fazbear's Return 5 again. Although one positive that carries over from Left to Rust is the visuals. I do like the look of the place. Most of the rooms do look kind of the same, but it gives off liminal space vibes. The animatronics are interesting, so you might have already noticed their bodies are mostly made up of parts from Assist Location animatronics. Mainly Funtime Foxy and Funtime Freddy, but with baby shoes, and of course they've been recolored. The clown animatronics are Benny, Circus, Springy, Matty and Patty. Wait, Matty and Patty? Matt Pat? Also, the animatronics can sometimes talk to you.
Let's have fun!
There's also this Shadow figure who replaces Shadow Joe. As for who does what, Benny replaces Golden Spring Joe, Circus replaces Golden Spring Toxic, Spring replaces Golden Spring Vasco, Matty replaces Spring Joe 07, and Patty replaces Spring Toxic 07. I've already gone over how you play Fazbear's Return 5, so I'm going to keep the gameplay brief. This game does have a few changes to the gameplay, most notable one being that you actually have power usage. You have 900 power, no, seriously. The power does go down quicker than it would in your average FNAF fan game, but I still never came close to running out. The power goes down quicker when you use a camera and flashlight, and when you use a shock, it will go down by 10. Fazbear's Return 5 is already a hard game, but this actually manages to make it harder. The animatronics seem to be more aggressive than how they are in Fazbear's Return 5. The map layout is different, so I think it's down to them having a shorter movement pattern. If you get attacked by Matty or Patty at the same time as Springy, you're probably dead. I spent multiple hours trying to beat Night 5 and I eventually gave up. Luckily though, JPG Zeka beat Night 5 and 6. We'll talk about that a bit more later. Something interesting is that when you view the monitor, you can actually see your character through the reflection. There isn't an extras menu this time and there isn't a Night 8. Night 7 is a custom night. Now onto the story. There isn't any minigames or cutscenes between the nights of the Night 5, so the only story you really get is through the phone calls. The character you play as is Pat.
Welcome to the job, Pat.
The phone guy named David Jones said that there was an old location named Bozo's Circus World that got shut down because of pranksters dressing up as killer clowns and scaring people.
As you may have heard about the place called Bozo's Circus World, right? That place was a hit before the children, started to scare people with their scary clown costume. It shut down after all those events about those kids dressing up like a killer clown.
After the incidents, animatronics were introduced. So the animatronics are programmed to stop fights from happening, but it's unknown how they do that. On the Night 4 phone call, a different person phoned you to say that David Jones went missing.
Hey, listen, my friend David Jones that helped with the nights? Yeah, he went missing. I really don't understand where he went, but luckily I am a friend of his, so I'd be taking over the calls for tonight.
He also tells you about this creepy guy who lingers around outside the building.
There have been reports of this creepy guy. Like, he always comes around the building and just sits outside. Like, it's very creepy.
In the Night 5 phone call, the phone guy fucking dies.
See you later, Pat, and good luck. I just want to leave now. Wahoo!
I'm guessing the creepy guy is the one who killed him since he was talked about earlier on in the phone call.
He said, everyone will suffer my cost. Once I get into that building, I will kill you all.
And that's pretty much all there is to say about this game. Nothing happens when you beat Night 6, and I couldn't find a video of anyone beating Night 7, but I assume nothing happens. So this is just another reskin that's inferior to the game it's reskinning. It's better than the Fright 4 because it at least has an original narrative to it, but even then, the Fazbear's Return 5 lore is better and the game just in general plays better. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, when you beat Night 5 you get a cutscene where the creepy guy is talking to you.
To come, soon will be the day of the grand reopening of Benny the Clown Circus World. I heard that the place will be much of a clown's playground. But you might be wondering, who am I? You will see soon, but for now, let's just close the books for now. And the later future, that's when we'll know my dramatic story.
At the end it says, to be concluded. 2. In July 2017, Benny the Clown Circus World 2 was released. When you press new game you get a cutscene. It's a conversation between a man named Michael Jones and an unknown person. Hello, who are you? Sit down, Michael, I'll shoot. Okay, I will. Please don't kill me. Haha, look at you working on the bozo suit. Haha. So Michael, sit down. Why? Just sit down, you stupid idiot. Alright then. Do you know who I am? Do you? Not really. Good. Haha. So I'm gonna eject you with this device to control you to kill anyone you like. What? Why? Please man, don't eject that device in my head. I don't want to kill no one. Please. I will eject you with this device if you like it or not. So this guy has some mind control device? After that you get another cutscene. This one has voice acting. The unknown person is the one talking. He mentions that he can not only control a person's mind, but somehow has control of the animatronics.
Benny the Clown and his friends will forever be controlled by me, and they will never know that I'm the bad guy.
It then cuts to 2 years later. It is revealed later that the game takes place in August 2006, so the start of the cutscene takes place in 2004, which is also when the first game takes place. The next part of the cutscene has a ghost of Michael's brother talking. He was killed by Michael whilst being controlled.
I know that my brother didn't kill me, because I have heard that crazy guy injected him in the head to control him.
Then there's a news article that tells you that Benny the Clown Circus World is reopening. It also has an article saying that Denny's shut down 8 locations because they weren't paying taxes, and also that some guy stole 10 grand from a safe at Burger King. What the fuck? So Benny the Clown's Circus World 2 is a reskin of FNAF 2. And to be fair, this isn't the second time he's reskinned FNAF 2. It's the third! Anyway, so let's talk about the game.
Hello? Hello? Oh, hey Josh, it's me, your friend Pat. I am here to settle you in on your first night here. I actually worked in that.
It doesn't fucking work. When you start a night, the game will just crash after a few seconds. So yeah, I wasn't able to play it. Unfortunately, this game wasn't very popular and I wasn't able to find footage of night 2, 3 and 4. Luckily though, JPG Zeka, being the badass he is, uploaded the video of night 5 and 6. It's hard to judge a game that I've not actually played, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the gameplay. But it's a reskin of FNAF 2, so you can work out roughly how it plays out. This time you have office power, you have a separate flashlight battery, so I guess the camera drains a power. Like with the Those Weeks games, there's hallways instead of vents. And instead of winding up the music box, you have to keep a door closed in Cam 7. JPG Zeka also did an all jump scares video, so I can tell you who all the characters replace. All the characters from the first Benny the Clown game make a return. Toy Freddy, Withered Bonnie, Withered Chica are replaced with Benny, Matty and Patty. In this game, Benny is red instead of blue. Withered Foxy is replaced with Springy and Toy Bonnie is replaced with Circus. The game introduces 6 new animatronics. Withered Freddy is replaced with Bobby, Balloon Boy is replaced with Vina, who also kills you when the power goes out. Toy Chica is replaced with the Magic Clown, Mangle is replaced with Burn Endo, Golden Freddy is replaced with Future Shadow, who I would say probably has the best design, and the Puppet is replaced with Jackie. I can talk about the phone calls since I found them in the game's files. So the character you play as is Josh Matthew. The phone guy is Pat, the character you play as in the first game. We get more information on the animatronics. The phone guy mentions that the animatronics killed a group of intruders.
Recently, there were some guys that were trying to break into this place. Luckily, the animatronics here took care of them. The animatronics didn't scare them, but they actually, killed them.
Also, they're programmed to attack anyone who isn't wearing a clown costume, which is why you have to wear the mask.
The owner here told me that the animatronics will only harm a person if they are not wearing like some sort of clown mask or costume. That's actually why we put the mask in your room.
As for the story of the game, there might be cutscenes after night 2, 3 and 4, but I couldn't find anything. I'm not sure if it's ever said in-game, but Michael Jones is likely the brother of David Jones, since in Benny the Clown 1 he goes missing. I'm not too sure though, since he's voiced by a different person.
I don't really want to get my place to shut down, so that's why I made the clown animatronics that can roam around the building.
And someday, hopefully, I will get my revenge.
When you beat night 5, you get a cutscene where Michael meets the killer. This time the killer's voice is normal.
Where's my brother, man? You said he was alive on the phone. Where is he? He's dead, stupid. You killed him, Michael. You don't remember because I can hack into your thoughts and erase anything you like and love. Hey, Michael. Look at the bright side. Your brother is still here, but he's in the door behind me. But I have to kill you because I don't want the cops to know that I inject you with a device in your head to control you to kill your loved ones. I'm sorry, Michael. If I don't kill you now, the other animatronics will know that I caused this madness, and they will kill me. Right now, they think you're the bad guy. So I'm just doing you a favor, Michael. Do you accept that favor? Or not? But hell no! I don't want to die because of this. I'd rather that the other animatronics know that you caused everything. Help, someone! Hey, Benny, the real killer is in here. Benny, you bastard! Screw you, Michael, and screw all the goddamn children. I am out of here for good.
After the cutscene ends, the credits roll. It's not the end though, because there's a night 6 and night 7. I found text in the files that says, "Congratulations, you've beaten the hardest mode in the game," which I assume you get when you beat night 7. When you beat night 6, you get another cutscene. This one doesn't have voice acting. He thinks he can kill my brother for good. Think again. I can put my brother back together. He never knew that about me. It has took 2 days to put him back together and now he's like me now. Then it cuts to the clown animatronic that the brother possesses saying, "We will get revenge very soon." Then it teases Benny the Clown Circus World 3, Vengeance at the Warehouse. Like I said earlier, Benny the Clown Circus World 2 wasn't very popular, especially compared to its predecessor. This led to the third Benny the Clown game being cancelled. Apparently the game was going to be a reskin of Sister Location, which would have been interesting. Shortly after the release of Benny the Clown 2, Psycho Clown changed his name from Unstoppable Trollgaming to Mason the developer. About 2 weeks later he released another game, that being Fazbear's Warehouse. The game is an alternate universe to FNAF. It takes place after FNAF 2. At the end of FNAF 2, the toy animatronics were scrapped. And in this game, the withered animatronics were shipped to a warehouse, and that's where the game takes place. So Fazbear's Warehouse is a reskin of Five Nights at Trucks 2, a game that was reskinned for Night 5 and left to rust. Instead of having to close the doors though, you have to turn on the phones. The phone assets were quite obviously taken from Five Nights at Candy's 2. There is a new mechanism that isn't in Five Nights at Trucks 2. In the monitor you have to wind up Yellow Bear's AI. Just like 1 and 3, Five Nights at Trucks 2 is another game where every animatronic does the same thing and it's kinda boring. But does Fazbear's Warehouse improve on it? Well, I'm afraid I can't tell you because I haven't actually played the game. And that's because Fazbear's Warehouse is lost. Despite that though, there is quite a lot of videos on the game, with there only not being footage of Night 3 and 4. In Five Nights at Trucks 2 you have Chuck, Pup, Bella, Petey, Balloon Boy and Toonybot. In Fazbear's Warehouse the animatronics are the withered animatronics, Withered Freddy, Bonnie Chica and Foxy. The game also has a withered Spring Bonnie and withered Fredbear. Withered Fredbear's design really sticks out since it's some fan-made unwithered Nightmare Fredbear model with vastly different textures. Also, withered Golden Freddy is in the game but just referred to as Golden Freddy. Also, he is referred to as Yellow Bear during the nights. Also, you can actually see the animatronics move whilst in the cameras. If I had a nickel for every lost FNAF fan game that Psycho Clown made where the animatronics move in the cameras,
I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
When you beat Night 5 you get a news article that says that the withered animatronics are being sent to the new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. It also says it will never open again if any more malfunctions occur. When you beat Night 6 you get a news article saying that Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has opened. I love how the animatronics are now magically the FNAF 1 animatronics. Also there's a custom night but nothing happens when you beat it. So this was another one of Psycho Clown's standalone games, no sequels made. So I've mentioned quite a few times in this video that Psycho Clown's games were deleted, but I haven't actually explained why. Well, there's 2 parts to the story. Right now I'm just going to go over part 1. In August 2017, Psycho Clown's GameJolt account was hacked by his haters and they deleted all of his games. Doesn't that sound ridiculous? Yeah, well that's because he was never actually hacked. It later turned out that Psycho Clown actually deleted his games and tried to pass it off as his account being hacked. Something worth mentioning is that a lot of people, including big YouTubers who played his games, were completely oblivious to the fact that these games were reskins. I think it's mainly due to the fact that most of the games he reskinned were fairly obscure, and by the time his games started to get popular, his reskins were more convincing. However, though many were aware and didn't like that Psycho Clown was reskinning other games without giving credit. Shortly afterwards, Psycho Clown released another game, Six Nights at Jack-O-Freddy's. The game was released in September 2017. The game is a reskin of Don't Scare Me I'm Scared, yes, another game that left to rust reskinned. Now, Six Nights at Jack-O-Freddy's was actually quite popular, but here's a crazy thing. Six Nights at Jack-O-Freddy's is lost. This is honestly one of the most baffling lost FNAF fan games. Sure, there are many lost FNAF fan games that were popular, but this was 2017 and was made by a well-known developer. If you happen to have any of Psycho Clown's lost FNAF fan games, please re-upload them onto GameJolt. Also, I have a Discord server dedicated to FNAF Lost Media, and I recommend joining that if you're interested in FNAF Lost Media. So there's only footage of Night 1, 2 and 5, however no one seems to have beaten Night 5. I've played Don't Scare Me I'm Scared and can confirm that it's really hard. On paper it seems simple, but the monster's AI is really aggressive. In Six Nights at Jack-O-Freddy's you have a flashlight instead of a torch. Each time you use it, the flashlight energy goes down by 1. Here you have 60 uses though, while in Don't Scare Me I'm Scared you have 30. I would assume that would make the game easier, but Night 6 in Don't Scare Me I'm Scared has been beaten while no one's beaten Night 5 in Six Nights at Jack-O-Freddy's. Maybe it's because the game's lost, so maybe less people have played it, therefore no one's uploaded the video of himself beating Night 5. So in Don't Scare Me I'm Scared, the enemies are Creeper, Skeleton, Zombie, Enderman and Zombie Pigman. In Six Nights at Jack-O-Freddy's I believe it's Jack-O-Freddy, Jack-O-Bonnie, Jack-O-Chica, Jack-O-Foxy and Jack-O-Puppet. All the enemies do the same thing except for Zombie Pigman, who is replaced with Jack-O-Puppet. For them you have to wind up the music box. There's no phone calls in Don't Scare Me I'm Scared, and that carries over to Six Nights at Jack-O-Freddy's. In Don't Scare Me I'm Scared, there's these minigames between nights where you're walking around the location trying to find objects. During this minigame, a shadow creeper is following you. This isn't in Six Nights at Jack-O-Freddy's. Something really funny about Don't Scare Me I'm Scared is that when you beat Night 5 and 6, you get the Night 5 and 6 cutscene from the Sea Shifter Austins. Scribby can never catch a break. Until someone finds this game, we'll never know if anything happens after you beat Night 5 and 6. Now let's talk about a game that isn't lost, Ennard's Torture Facility. The game was released in December 2017. In this game you play as an investigator named Paul Johnson who has gone to investigate a torture facility. When you start survival mode, which is the only game mode, you get a cutscene. There is text coming from a computer screen that says, "You are trapped inside of here. You cannot leave or escape from here. You are stuck here with us. You will become us. She knows you, Paul, but you don't know her. She saw you investigate the suits in Circus Baby's world. She thought you were him and still thinks you are still him. But you are not him. What you must do is survive. I will get help for you as soon as possible. Good luck, Paul Johnson. You're gonna need it." When they say she, by the way, I think they're referring to Ennard. In FNAF, Ennard's gender actually hasn't been confirmed. Now onto the game. It's another reskin of Fazbear's Return 4. Aside from the visuals and sounds, there's not really any changes to the gameplay, other than you now have to look behind you to check the hallway. I will say, the game actually does look really good, but I don't know how much of it is original. While it's not as scary as Fazbear's Return 4, it still is quite scary. The game's ambience is very quiet and it definitely has a lonely atmosphere to it. There also isn't any phone calls, which adds to it. Nightmare Joe is replaced with Torture Ennard, who's basically just Ennard with more limbs. Something interesting about this game is that each night is actually an hour, and the game takes place over the course of one night. The game goes from 11 PM to 6 AM. There is a timer that counts down how long you have until the next hour. Each hour lasts 150 seconds or 7 minutes 30 seconds. There isn't a cutscene or minigame between nights except for hour 5, 6 and 7. When you beat hour 5 you get another cutscene of someone from the computer talking to you. "They are coming, do not worry." And that's it. When you beat hour 6 you get another cutscene where the computer talks to you. "They are coming, but they won't come as long as the door is locked. Paul made a big mistake coming here." So hour 7 is the final hour in the game, which I think works since Fazbear's Return 4 didn't warrant having 8 nights. When you beat hour 7 you get a cutscene where the guy who made the torture facility is talking.
"They are here, Paul. They are here to save you, but I won't allow them to save you. I was just keeping you here so that no one will find out the truth or weakness of what has happened here. I've been creating something. I have been creating killer torture machines for a reason, and that reason is for another location that no one will expect to see. This place was once a horror attraction, but it got left behind. But I have never left the horror attraction. I was too busy making an underground facility for my victims, such as you. You see, Paul, I will not let no one unsolve the secrets, the truth, and all the traumatic shit that has happened. No one will fucking find out the secrets and the fucking truth. I will create what I need to create, and I will do what I need to do.
Then you get a news article saying that Paul was killed and the torture facility in Ennard will be destroyed. Then after that, the credits roll. That's pretty much all there is to say about this game. It isn't a bad reskin of Fazbear's Return 4 as it does feel like its own thing aside from the gameplay mechanisms, but I would still say play Fazbear's Return 4 instead. Sometime after the release of Ennard's Torture Facility, Psycho Clown changed his name back to Unstoppable Trollgaming, which is fitting since when he was Mason the developer all the games he made were standalone. And when he became Unstoppable Trollgaming again, he brought back the Benny the Clown series. In February 2018, Benny the Clown Circus World Remastered was released. The game opens with a cutscene. In the cutscene, a new character is talking to you. Hello there, I'm here to tell a little story about my life. I have a brother named James. He once said to me, I will never leave you, I will always be by your side. One day he left me behind. He didn't even notice me anymore. It was like I was just a stranger to him. He lied to me. He left me behind and now he is out there making a living, making others happy, but not me. I don't have no friends, no family, and now no brother. I'm all alone. But he will pay. Everyone will pay of what they have done to me. I will set him up to make everyone think he has killed people in his circus restaurant. I will destroy him, and I myself will take full control of his creations he have created in that place. I must kill of what I see in my path. Before continuing, it's important to note that this game is not canon to the first two Benny the Clown games. When you press new game, you get a news article that just says Benny the Clown Circus World is looking for a night guard. Nothing about KFC going bankrupt or how a 12-year-old stole a singular dollar from a vault. At the start of each night, you get a 25-second loading screen, only to play a reskin of Five Nights at Chuck's Free, another game that Psycho Clown already reskinned. Don't worry though, this was the last game that Psycho Clown reskinned more than once, I promise. Now last time he reskinned Five Nights at Chuck's Free, he fucked it up. Here though, he might have actually made the game better. Not much has really changed, it's pretty much the same game, but the game doesn't crash nearly as often as how it does in Five Nights at Chuck's Free. That being said, it still does crash a bit too much. There's only two real differences in the game. One of them is that if an animatronic gets to your office, you can't do anything to stop them. But in Five Nights at Chuck's Free, there's a high chance that your game will crash when you view the monitor, so a lot of the times you're screwed anyway. Instead of the steam, you have a shock. This time you can't alter how strong you want the shock to be. The shock is the equivalent of releasing steam at 300 degrees in Five Nights at Chuck's Free. The thing is though, in Five Nights at Chuck's Free, I always put the steam at 550 degrees. This means that the shock will recharge quicker, but it won't be as impactful. Because of this, the game is a lot harder than Five Nights at Chuck's Free since the shock is less likely to work. The game gets very RNG based towards the end as you have 6 enemies coming at you, and you can only deal with however many are in one room every 20 seconds. In Five Nights at Chuck's Free, Hybrid Tunable will only be sent back if the temperature is 550 degrees. I was able to make it to night 6, so I guess whoever replaces Hybrid Tunibot has been altered. Alright, let's talk about other aspects of the game now. The location looks a lot like the Benny the Clown 1 location. I think this was intentional since it's supposed to be remaster of the first game. Obviously the layout is different, but won't be surprised if you got the two locations confused. As for the animatronics, all the Benny the Clown 1 characters return: Benny, Circus, Springy, Matty and Patty. Also, Jackie from Benny the Clown 2 makes a return, this time she wears red instead of yellow. Now onto the story of the game. This time you do get a phone call, but it's only on night 1. The phone guy just explains how you play the game. At the end of night 1 to 5 you get a minigame. You play as a guy from the opening who's going around the restaurant killing people. At the end of each minigame, text shows up, each saying different things. They always hunt you, I think they mean always haunt you. Mistakes happen, the unknown, a killer, and Genesis. When you beat night 6, you get a news article saying that several people went missing at Benny the Clown Circus World, and 2 people were found dead. This made the owner most likely to shut down and most likely go to prison for murder. Professionalism at its finest. You then get another cutscene of the brother talking. I did it. I have set up the owner to make everyone think he killed those people. Now he is in jail. How did he convince people that he's a killer though? Him being the owner of a place where murders took place isn't good enough. Soon there will be a new owner taking full control of them now. And that new owner will be me. I will be reopening that place soon, but not right now, it will be too risky. I will wait a month until I decide to sell the place of some victims of mine hidden in the suits. Nobody will ever find them. But some of my victims was used to set up the owner, to set him to jail. Now I am here, and I am their creator. Then it teases a new game, Benny the Clown Circus World 2 Remastered, which was cancelled shortly after its announcement. Then it says, he created us to kill, our future is dark. Then the credits roll. It's not the end though, because there's a custom night. When you beat night 7 you get one last minigame. In this minigame you play as a shadow figure and you fly around a purple room. Then you get an image of a box. It then says, secrets are not meant to be revealed until they're all in one place. I will be waiting until the time comes. The true creator will come around. Right then, time to kill my epileptic viewers again. And that's it, that's the end of the game. So I'll admit once again, I liked Benny the Clown Circus World Remastered more than Five Nights at Chuck's 3. It has slightly better gameplay and has more of a story to it. Although it's still a reskin of a rubbish game and there's so much you can really improve on. Despite the cancellation of Benny the Clown Circus World 2 Remastered, another Benny the Clown game was made. And that was Benny the Clown Circus World Chapter 1. Before we talk about the game, let's go back a bit to late 2017. Psycho Clown wanted the MFAs for Jolly 3 Chapter 1 and Don't Scare Me I'm Scared 2 Remastered. This was obviously so that he could reskin these games. However though, Booby Gamer deleted the MFAs for the Don't Scare Me I'm Scared games. After that, Psycho Clown started to demand Booby Gamer for the MFAs for Don't Scare Me I'm Scared 2 Remastered. After he refused to release them, Psycho Clown made several alt accounts on YouTube and started mass disliking Booby Gamer's videos. He also left a lot of comments begging for the MFAs. Eventually, Booby Gamer decided to release the MFAs, but the AI code was password protected. Psycho Clown still wouldn't leave him alone though, so he decided to tell him the password. When the trailer for Benny the Clown Circus World Chapter 1 was released, gameplay footage showed that the game was a reskin of Don't Scare Me I'm Scared 2 Remastered. Then, Radamus called out Psycho Clown in the comments for reskinning the game. After that, Psycho Clown then started to mass dislike Radamus's videos as well. Now, for this video I actually asked Booby Gamer when he found out about Psycho Clown reskinning his games. And he was actually aware that Night 4 and Left to Rust reskinned Don't Scare Me I'm Scared 1 long before he started begging for MFAs. But he didn't really mind so much since Don't Scare Me I'm Scared reuses some of the code from the Sea Shifter Austin's games, however though he did credit the games. Now let's finally talk about Benny the Clown Circus World Chapter 1. The game was released in June 2018. So as the name would suggest, Chapter 1 is not canon to Remastered. It was once again a rebirth of the Benny the Clown series. This game is a lot more story based than Psycho Clown's other games, so I'm going to talk about all the cutscenes later on. First, let's talk about the visuals. The game takes place at an indoor playground. There's a lot of props in the rooms, most of them are taken from Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. In Don't Scare Me I'm Scared 2 Remastered, the enemies are Creeper, Zombie, Skeleton, Enderman and Golden Creeper. In Chapter 1, the only returning character is Benny the Clown. The other characters are Buddy, Chester, Bongo and Circus Bear. The animatronics actually look pretty damn good, and they don't look familiar at all. So do we finally have 100% original animatronics? Well, no, they were made up of various fan-made FNAF animatronic models. Now onto the gameplay. The nights go on from 10 PM until 4 AM. You'll only know what the time is when you reach a new hour. There's two hallways, one on your left and one in front of you. On your right, there is a window and behind you is a vent. When you see an animatronic in one of those places, you have to flicker your light at them. However, they have flashlight battery. And that's how most of the characters work. Every character except for Circus Bear act the same. There are a few changes to Chapter 1 that aren't in Don't Scare Me I'm Scared 2 Remastered. One of them is that you can get ventilation errors that will occur at random. If you get one of these errors, you have to pull up the monitor and pump in fresh air. And if you take too long, you're dead. Circus Bear is a threat in 3 ways, 2 of which aren't in Don't Scare Me I'm Scared 2 Remastered. He replaces Golden Creeper and will occasionally appear in the office. When this happens, you have to view the monitor or you're dead. While viewing the monitor, he has a chance of appearing in the camera randomly. If he does this, you have to stare at him until he leaves. If you don't, he'll cause a ventilation error. And lastly, you have a Circus Bear meter. To charge it up, you have to view the monitor and keep moving around in the cameras. Holy shit, this game is a clusterfuck. So something I haven't mentioned yet is that the animatronics aggression is off the chain. The strategy is to just quickly look around checking for animatronics while occasionally viewing the monitor while dealing with Circus Bear and ventilation errors. But the problem is, since everyone's AI is so aggressive, you can easily get killed whilst rebooting an error, and ventilation errors are very common. There's also no warning for when an animatronic is about to attack, and it can kill you within about 5 seconds or so. I get that this was done as an attempt to improve Don't Scare Me I'm Scared 2 Remastered, since the game is just you looking around and shining your light the whole time. But the game is so RNG based that I spent several hours on just night 3 and actually gave up on night 4. You don't get any phone calls, instead you get a tutorial at the start of the game. Now moving on from the gameplay, after you beat a night you'll earn a prize. The prizes can be viewed in the prize corner. Each prize does something when clicked on in prize corner. When you beat night 1 you get a jukebox. You can play 3 different tracks while in the prize corner. When you beat Night 2, you get Smiley the Gumball Machine. When you click him, he says,
You want gumball?
When you beat Night 3, you get an old arcade machine. When you click on it, you get a minigame. In this minigame, you play as Benny and have to collect coins that fall from the sky whilst avoiding obstacles. You have a motivation meter which goes down every time you get hit or miss a coin. When it runs out, you lose. You have to survive for 100 seconds. Now, I didn't beat this minigame since I found it way too hard. The coins fall so fast that you don't have enough time to move far enough to collect a lot of them. Since I wasn't able to beat Night 4, unfortunately I can't tell you what happens after you beat it. Thankfully though, our Lord and Saviour JPG Zeka did a video of himself beating Night 5, 6 and 7. However though, I still don't know what happens when you beat Night 4 since I couldn't find any footage of anyone beating it, or even Night 3 for that matter. So, now onto the story of the game. The game has 8-bit cutscenes between the nights. When you press new game, you get 2 cutscenes. The game takes place in June of 2020. So, the story for a lot of Psycho Clown's games have been quite ridiculous. Things started to calm down a bit with the Benny the Clown games, but they were still kinda silly. However though, the story for Benny the Clown Circus World Chapter 1 is actually really dark. The character you play as is Isaac. In the opening cutscene, he is seen crying. We learn that his mother died and his father was a serial killer. This has made him depressed. He mentions that he had a manic episode where he killed loads of people at a bar and deeply regrets it. We also find out that he has a brother named David who owns Benny the Clown Circus World, and they don't see each other much anymore since David is too busy running the place. Then in the next cutscene, David offers Isaac a job at Benny the Clown Circus World. Isaac decides to accept the job since he really wants to move out. David and Isaac live with each other alongside David's wife, who is never actually seen in the game. At the end of the cutscene, David gives Isaac a hat that his mother was going to give him before she died. After you beat Night 1, you get another cutscene. After Isaac finished his shift, one of the employees gave him $100. This encouraged him to continue working. David warns Isaac about a secret room and tells him not to go in it. He also mentions that he did something bad but won't tell Isaac. And of course, after he tells him that, Isaac now really wants to know what happened. In the Night 2 cutscene, Isaac hears screaming. He goes outside of the secret room to see what's going on. He then hears someone getting brutally killed. It then cuts to an hour later. David tells Isaac that he knows he heard someone getting killed as he was caught on camera. David then demands to speak with Isaac the next day. Now onto the Night 3 cutscene. Despite what Isaac saw, he admits that he still trusts David, although David will not tell Isaac why he's killing people. He warns Isaac that if he goes near the door again, there's something far worse than death itself. Isaac then plans to go to the door again on the 5th night. Sadly, I can't talk about the Night 4 cutscene, for reasons I disclosed earlier. However though, I don't think any important plot points happen since I can understand the story fairly well despite not having seen it. In the Night 5 cutscene, Isaac enters a secret room. He walks past a lot of dismembered corpses. Then David catches Isaac and ties him to a chair. David says to Isaac that he doesn't love him or their mother. He also stuffed their mom's body into an animatronic suit after she died. He then says that the reason why he's been killing people is because people kept on pushing him around. Also, he programmed the animatronics to kill people. Right as he's about to kill Isaac, he gets grabbed by an animatronic. That animatronic is Calamity, who is possessed by Isaac and David's mother. She reveals that when she died, she possessed David and made him stuff her own body into the suit. Wait, what? Calamity wants to kill Isaac so they can be with each other in the afterlife. She doesn't want David since he's a mass murderer. When the cutscene ends, you get a Calamity boss fight. In Don't Scare Me I'm Scared 2 Remastered, it's Herobrine you're going up against. Oh yeah, did you forget this game is a reskin? What you're supposed to do is look around the room and flash Calamity if you see her, but if you flash her too many times, you get killed by an unknown animatronic. If you get killed, you get an unsettling game over screen of Isaac dead next to a noose. Also, when you beat Night 5, you get a prize, Golden Calamity's head. If you click on it, you get a minigame. It's similar to the minigame from the old arcade machine, however the visuals are dark and red, and instead of motivation, it's sanity. And instead of catching coins, you're catching eyes. Judging by the footage, this minigame looks easier than the other one since the eyes seem to move slower than the coins. As you progress, a silhouette of Circus Bear slowly fades in. When you beat the minigame, it tells you a bit more about Circus Bear. You learn that the Circus Bear suit is possessed by the ghost of a serial killer. He was about to kill his own son while wearing the bear suit, but before he could do that, the suit malfunctioned and crushed him to death. Now back to the Calamity Knight. To beat the Knight, he had to shine the light at Calamity until her energy runs out. Towards the end, the place catches fire and explodes. You then get a cutscene where Isaac finds David severely injured. David apologizes for everything that he has done. It's also revealed that Circus Bear is possessed by the father, in case you couldn't tell already. David then asks Isaac to end his suffering. The game then gives you the choice to either kill David or walk out. Regardless on your decision, you get a news article saying that an explosion occurred at Benny the Clown's Circus World. During an investigation, the 26 bodies of the people David killed were found. It also says that the murderer was pronounced dead, but what if you decide to not kill him? Does he just die from his injuries anyway? It also says that the animatronics will be sold off along with the rights to Benny the Clown's Circus World. After that, you get rewarded with a golden Circus Bear head, and then the credits roll. There is a Night 6, but when you beat it, you just unlock the extras, which is referred to as bonus. There's also a Night 7 titled Chaos Mode. When you beat Chaos Mode, you get an abandoned arcade machine. When you click on it, you just get the same minigame that you got from the golden Calamity head. After you beat Chaos Mode, you unlock an Endless Mode. If you survive for 10 minutes in Endless Mode, you unlock an unknown chest. When you click the chest, it shows Benny standing behind the chest, and it then says to be continued in Chapter 2. And that's the end of the game. So the game's story is flawed, but it's a huge improvement over Psycho Clown's previous games. It actually develops its characters more and has some disturbing moments, maybe a little too disturbing. This game has shown that Psycho Clown had gotten better with storytelling. I mean, this is the same guy who wrote the Fright after Fredbear's Diner lore. But the problem is, since he spent so much time reskinning games, he didn't really get good at programming. And when he tried to make significant changes to the games he was reskinning, it ended up falling flat. Now let's talk about Chapter 2. Well, it never got made. Shortly after the release of Benny the Clown's Circus World Chapter 1, Psycho Clown got banned from Game Jolt. It is believed that Psycho Clown was banned because his games were reskins that didn't give credit. However though, Psycho Clown said that he actually asked for his account to get banned, saying that there was no way to delete your account back then. However though, a few months later, in October 2018, he made another Game Jolt account, which is the one he currently uses today. At some point, Psycho Clown changed his name from Unstoppable Trollgaming to Benny the Clown's Circus World Studios. He later changed it again to how I've been addressing him throughout this video, Psycho Clown Studio. In November 2018, it was announced that a new Benny the Clown game was in development, and that game was Benny's Circus Entertainment. This game would be groundbreaking for Psycho Clown, because the game is actually an original game. That's right, Psycho Clown finally quit reskinning games. Before I talk more about Benny's Circus Entertainment, I think it's important to mention that Psycho Clown never actually re-uploaded any of his old games. Most of his games were re-uploaded by various users, which is why some of his games are still lost. Throughout 2019 to 2021, several teasers for the game were released. Wait, a Psycho Clown game that spent multiple years in development? Damn, he's changed alright. In January 2022, an official Benny the Clown remake began development, that being Benny's Circus World. The game isn't actually being made by Psycho Clown though, it's being made by Vinny Gaming. The game is intending on being a prequel to Benny's Circus Entertainment. As of the time recording this video, the game hasn't been released yet. Back to Benny's Circus Entertainment, the game was originally going to have 7 nights and had plans for DLC. However though, this ended up getting cut and the game only has 5 nights. On the 8th of October 2022, a trailer for Benny's Circus Entertainment was released. Then a year later, on the 1st of October 2023, another trailer was released. The trailer confirmed that the game would be released on the 10th of October 2023, and it would in fact be released on that day. By the way, the 10th of October is my birthday, don't forget. So this was the first original Psycho Clown game in almost 8 years. So is it any good? Let's talk about it. So the game is not canon to Chapter 1, however the story is similar. The game takes place in the present day, October 2023. When you press new game, you get 2 cutscenes. The first one shows Isaac visiting his mother's grave. It is mentioned that she died of an illness. This time the dad isn't dead, instead he just went out to get some milk. David is the owner of Benny's Circus Entertainment and Isaac works as a detective. Isaac is once again suffering from depression. This time though, David is actually more supportive. David offers Isaac a job at Benny's Circus Entertainment. In the next cutscene, Isaac accepts the job. So when I said this game isn't a reskin, I also meant it's a completely original game. The graphics are all original and they actually look really good. Now let's talk about the gameplay. Holy shit, there are so many mechanisms in this game. So please forgive me if I sound like a mess while explaining them. So in front of you have a PC and that's where all the mechanisms are. You have 2 ways of viewing the animatronics, the radar and the cameras. The cameras act just like how they'd act in any other FNAF fan game, but they're kinda useless. On the radar you can press a scan button which will tell you exactly where the animatronics are. It's quite random though. Sometimes it'll only show a few animatronics and sometimes it'll show all of them. Also every hour the scan will reset so you might not be able to see any of them. On the radar you have these things called Chester bots. You can move them around on the map. You have 5 Chester bots. Each time runs into a wall it gets destroyed. If you lose all your Chester bots you fail. You can only use one at a time. There's 4 tasks that you must complete before 6 AM. One of them is to collect all the trash clusters scattered around the place using the Chester bot. The other is to keep the camera system, radar system and ventilation in good condition. You have a maintenance panel where you'll find the camera system, radar system and ventilation. You can charge them up by going to the maintenance panel and holding them. There's also a reboot all which you have to spam click for about 10 seconds before it works. And I'd say just reboot all from time to time. If your ventilation runs out, you're dead. So how do you actually deal with the animatronics? You can look behind you and your left and right. Most of the animatronics will attack from there. When an animatronic gets to one of those locations, you have to stare at them until they leave. However, you can't see them in your office, so if you see them approach you on the radar, look at whatever direction they're coming in. Now let's actually talk about the animatronics. So all the animatronics from Chapter 1 return: Benny, Buddy, Bongo, Chester and Circus Bear. Also, Calamity returns, but in the extras he's referred to as Calaminty. Psycho Clown, you still need to work on your grammar. Also, Bobby from Benny the Clown 2 makes a return. I like all of their designs, they look really creepy. There's also a new character, Lenny the Mouse, who just looks like a FNAF character to me. There's also another variation of Circus Bear, that being Monster Circus Bear. So how does each animatronic act? So Benny and Buddy both act the same. They'll attack from either behind you or on your right. When I said right, by the way, I mean the right direction of the PC. Bobby will attack from the left. When he's there, you have to stare at him for 10 seconds. Circus Bear will make roaring sounds just before he attacks. As soon as you hear roaring sounds, you must look to your left. Right afterwards, you have to look behind you. Calamity acts very different to everyone else. When you hear giggling and bell sounds, you have to turn off the power. Yes, you can turn off the power. You then have to wait until you can't hear any noises before turning the power back on. There's also jammer boxes. You can pick one up with a Chester bot. If you run into an animatronic with it, it will stop them in their tracks. You can use this on most of the animatronics. You can't use this on Calamity though. However, you can just run into her as a normal Chester bot, although this will make you lose a Chester bot. And then there's Lenny and Chester. So Lenny is in cam 9 and Chester is in cam 11. They each have a meter in their cameras and you have to view the cameras to charge them up. So Benny's Circus Entertainment has garnered a reputation for being extremely hard, with some even calling it unbeatable. However, this has been proven wrong. And yes, my god, this game is hard. This is mainly due to how much stuff is going on. While you're looking away from the monitor to deal with one animatronic, another one could appear straight afterwards and you don't know what direction. Calamity makes you defenses against literally everything whenever she attacks. Circus Bear will kill you within about 2 seconds from when he starts moving. The radar just might not fucking work, or you might get an error at the worst time. Despite all this though, the game actually manages its difficulty fairly well. Yes, it's extremely hard, but whenever any of these things happen, it's not the case of you're dead and there's nothing you can do. Things do become a lot harder obviously, but you aren't completely screwed. Now, I'm sorry to tell you guys this, but I actually didn't beat the game. I gave up on night 3, after spending a whole day on it. No, seriously. The game is hard in a fun way, the way that makes you want to keep on trying every time you fail. It's still extremely hard though. Now, during production of this video, Benny's Circus Entertainment was actually updated and a few things were changed, so I decided to give Night 3 another go. Before there was a chance that using the radar scan will activate an animatronic early, now that barely ever happens. Calamity was drastically nerfed to the point where you'll rarely ever see her. But there was a difficulty increase too, and that was with Lenny and Chester. Before the update, you could just completely ignore them the whole game. The update makes it so that their power meter goes down quicker. While this update makes perfect sense, it does add a whole new problem. If their AI gets too low, you can't stop looking at them for too long or they'll kill you, but it's hard to make it so that they don't reach this level. I think how this should work is watching them increases their meter faster. It would make it so that you have to check them a few times, but it won't make the night 10 times harder afterwards. One thing I do like about this game is it's not really an ideal strategy. You can make it up yourself. You can wait for the animatronics to come to you, or you can go around running into them. I haven't talked about Monster Circus Bear and Bongo yet, that's because they're only active on night 5. How they work is they'll appear in front of you and you just have to stay still. They won't actually kill you though, instead they'll just disable the maintenance panel. Also, there's an endless night that you get after beating night 5. Now onto the story. Well, there's not really much of a story in the game, there isn't cutscenes or minigames between the nights, other than night 5. There are phone calls from night 1 to 4. The phone guy, voiced by Cat Miner, is Tom Foster. He repairs the animatronics and is also Isaac's partner as a detective. In the night 3 phone call, he says that he got trapped in an underground part of Benny's Circus Entertainment.
Whoever is hearing this, I'm underground at Benny's location. I'm stuck down here. Things didn't go as planned, so I'm down here working on a project with Isaac and David. Looks like the elevator got jammed.
Then in the night 4 phone call, he starts freaking out after seeing a dead person.
What the fuck? How is this possible? David, where the hell are you?
And then he fucking dies.
Wait, David, what the hell's behind your back? No, please, stop it, no.
When you beat night 5, you get a cutscene. The cutscene shows a detective named Greg investigating a crime scene of multiple murders. Greg messages Isaac saying that he knows where the killer is. Then he gets knocked out and kidnapped by some old man. He takes him to Circus Bear's indoor playground and he's accompanied by some shadow person. Shortly afterwards, Isaac arrives. The old man tells Isaac that he hacked the animatronic so that he can protect Isaac from the Illusioner Clown. The Illusioner Clown is basically this clown that can shapeshift. He says that he killed people, which somehow traps the Illusioner Clown, and one of those people he killed was Isaac's mother. Then he says, "I lied to you, son, I didn't want it to end like this, but here we are." Yep, the old man is Isaac's father. He then tells Isaac to kill him, which leads to multiple choices. However, though, I only found one video of Night 5 which was uploaded by Horror the Gold Guardian. In this video they tried to arrest the killer but end up getting killed. You then get a news article that says, "Clown Killer Murdered Detective Isaac." I decompiled the game and found 2 other news articles. One says the clown child killer captured, so you can successfully arrest him. The other says the clown killer is dead, which you get if you decide to kill him. Also in the game's files I found Zack from Fazbear's Return. Psycho Clown? I know you're watching this video. Explain yourself. So Benny's Circus Entertainment is actually a good game. It's not perfect, sure, but I don't think I've ever actually played a FNAF fan game quite like it, and I mean that in a good way. And that's quite the glow up, since almost every FNAF fan game Psycho Clown made at this point was a reskin, and the other ones were some of the worst FNAF fan games of all time. And that's it. That's all of Psycho Clown's games that have been released up until this point. Psycho Clown is currently working on 2 upcoming games, both of which are reboots of his old games. One is Benny the Clown Circus World, which will be a reboot of the first Benny the Clown game, and the other is Left to Decay, a reboot of Left to Rust. Dude, I cannot wait to play this game when it comes out. Maybe I'll make a video on it, who knows. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I hope it didn't take up too much of your time. Oh wait, what's that? Oh yeah, it's like 2 hours 40 minutes. What the fuck? How did I make a video this fucking long? Like, I was shocked when the Fazbear's Return video was like nearly 2 hours. This is almost a fucking hour long. It's like 50 fucking minutes longer. What have I done? How did I get here? Like, Psycho Clown, it's a good thing I told you months in advance that I was making this video, or you'd have probably had a cardiac arrest after seeing it in your recommended or something. But seriously, if you actually watched the whole video from start to finish, then you truly are a legend, thank you. I also want to thank you all for the support on the Fazbear's Return video. It's really changed my life. It's the reason this video was made. I don't know why specifically on Psycho Clown's games, but whatever. So, I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much for watching.